don't I know anything that's happening?
Where is everyone?
You guys want us to hurry up or keep going?
Hopefully you guys liked it.
Greetings to everyone, and welcome to the Soul Citizens. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back for another fun-filled week to talk about that game you all love, and sometimes hate a little bit, Star Citizen. And I'm here with a great group of folks here today. We are excited. It is the beginning of October. We are 1 week away from CitizenCon, and we decided that we were going to do a show themed out as a slice of CitizenCon. And the idea is let's talk a little bit about CitizenCon, because we know come next week, oh wow, we got a subscriber. Abdi, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. What a way to kick us off. Thanks a lot. Right off the bat, he kicked us off. But we're a week ahead, and we want to talk a little bit about it because we know there's the hype is going to build over the next week as we get closer and closer to the event. And so I've got some distinguished folks on here today to talk to us a little bit about it. So let me start from my right, which would be one of the newest members of the Soul team, and that's AbdiYohan. Thank you, Abdi. Welcome back. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Second time in 2 weeks back to back. You know, you can take over Fast Cards. Maybe take over Fast Cards position. Maybe next time when you come. Just no.
I can't rival those puns, man. I can't rival those puns.
You know what?
No one can.
You've said nothing else that I would agree with today. That is it. Okay. No. We love our buddy Fast Card. He's not here. He's getting a week off this week because he's been pulling Thursdays and Sundays, and he does a great job with that.
I Heart FC.
Yes, sir. The man, the ambassador of Star Citizen.
Just ban Fast Card. Just ban. That's what Riamar says.
No, we cannot lose Fast Card. We cannot lose Fast Card. Can't lose Fast Card. And to my left, the man himself, who's always a proud of the state of Florida, Kelosal. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I am fantastic. I just want to go ahead and thank Griff as always being on. Love to see you, Space. Abdi, a pleasure as always. I just want to support my teams because the Rowdies are back in the playoffs again, trying to go ahead and win the Eastern Conference title twice in a row. So go Rowdies. The Rays are back in the playoffs again. So once again, we are the city of champions, and the Buccaneers play tonight. Good luck, Bucks. Go Bucks. You want a championship city. Come to Tampa Bay. Go Griff.
He had those backgrounds locked and loaded.
Tomato, this is why I will not have an org, because I can't even keep the team on here together, and I got to deal with this type of stuff, okay? So anyway, thank you, Kelosal, for that fill-in on sports in the state of Florida here in the United States.
Are we going to be tracking the score? Is that game going on right now during this?
It's fun. 30 minutes.
There's a live ticker underneath.
Come on.
Have a live score going
Tomato,
on.
do not feed the animals, okay? Please, do not feed the animals, all right? All right, and last but not least, our special guest. He's a returning guest. He's been here a few times before, and we're happy to have him back again. SpaceTomato. How are you, buddy?
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I always have a blast being here. It's good conversation. It's good people. It's good times. So I'm excited to talk about CitizenCon today.
Awesome. I appreciate that. In fact, when you got back to the States, I got a message from the Tomato. He said, Griff, I'm back. Let me know when I can pop back in. And so I sent him the schedule right away, and he picked today. Slice of CitizenCon.
I knew it was going to be a good show.
He's getting ahead of it.
And it was the whole year, man, because we did a show back in, I think it was January, maybe. It might have been December, but we did one when I was back in the States, and then I left, and it was just all years back and forth, and I was like, there's no way. With the way that our time zones meet up, there's just no way it was going to work. So I'm glad to be back and get a chance to get on the show.
And we appreciate that, man. We're glad to have you back as well. So let's jump into it. For those of you, welcome everybody who's here. Thank you guys for showing up on a Sunday as always before the week gets started. Just so you guys know, we've got another announcement I should make, Kelosal. I think we kind of alluded to it a little bit, but we now have a couple of moderators that are working with us. Fastcard has worked as an operator, but he's also kind of the co-producer. And a lot of times, it's a lot for him to do, to be engaged in the show, and then at the same time trying to kind of keep track of information that's being said in the chat, questions, being able to send out links. And so you guys have gotten us to the place where now we've grown to the point where we have moderators. They're not paid, but they're moderators. And so, but they love us. And they both of them, when we spoke with them about taking on that task, they were very enthusiastic and excited about the prospect of doing it. And they were both like, we don't know very much about it, but they kind of jumped into it. So just so you guys will know, our moderators now are Admiral Kusanagi and Ops Chief. And they'll be working along with Fastcart to help us with getting things in, because sometimes I don't have time to put links in and pictures and all that other stuff, but they're going to help with that. And also they'll be there just to say hi to you guys when you come in. So congratulations to both of them for being able to join and be a part of the Soul Citizens team. I didn't want to not mention that because that's really important to us. So let's jump into the show.
Yeah. First, I think Admiral and Fastcart are going to be missing some things because both of them are in New England, right?
Well, yeah, they are. That's true. They are both in New England. Listen, don't come.
It's the topic of the night.
Oh, jeez.
Stay off that TV, Fastcart.
You know. Okay. So, we a lot of times when we do the show, we kind of jump into topics that we know a lot of folks in the community already are aware of and know about. But then there's those times where we need to talk about some things and kind of refresh our memories, as well as remember that there are people who are maybe watching the show for the first time. And so we're going to look at a quick video that CIG put out called What is Star Citizen? And then I want to talk to the panelists about that video, because I've heard some interesting thoughts in relation to how CIG is presenting the game. And we'll also talk about how they're presenting CitizenCon. And I want to get their feedback in relation to that. So very quickly, let's take a look at the What is CitizenCon video. Okay, so I said the wrong thing. That was the What is Star Citizen? I said CitizenCon earlier. I meant to say What is Star Citizen? I'm going to present a question to my panel, and I want to get their thoughts on this, because it's a statement that I agree with, but most recently I'm starting to maybe feel a little different about. And that question is, and this is the statement that I've been hearing some people say, and I think it's valid. They've talked about the fact that Star Citizen has been in development for so long that now there are many people who don't know that this game is in alpha, that it is still being built out. They may see that trailer and say, wow, this game looks awesome. I'm going to jump in it and play it, right? And then they get in and happen to come in on a day when 30Ks are happening a lot. You know, there's a lot going on, and they're not seeing the experience that they witnessed on that trailer. Now, here's my question. I am going to kind of put a little lead into it. So I don't want to sucker you into what I'm going to say, but if you feel differently, feel free to say it. When we looked at that video, was there anything in that video that you say was an untruth? Something that is not real that people can experience in Star Citizen? If so, cool. Go ahead, feel free. And other than the F8, if you feel that there was, then cool. Do you feel that the marketing is misleading? Or do you feel that it's just the fact that we aren't making it happen? Now, I will preclude that a little bit more. Hang on to that question. And this will be leading into CitizenCon. I was listening to Morphologist's video this afternoon on my way home, and he was talking about CitizenCon, and he went back to the CitizenCon where the sandworm popped up. And he said, we saw that years ago, and it's still not in game, which is true, which is very true. But, please feel free to watch this video because he raises some very good points in it. He's not against CitizenCon, but his thing is titled, "Is CitizenCon a Waste of Money?" And he talks a little bit about that or something along those lines. But my point is, there's one thing when we look at some videos, they're talking about where we want to see the vision of Star Citizen, which is what he looked at from that perspective. And then there's the game that exists. So I'm going to start with our guest first, SpaceTomato. Is what we just watched in that What is Star Citizen video, is it that it's not there, half there, mostly there, or it's not there at all? What are your feelings? Do you think that they're fooling people in the Star Citizen when they see that?
I think this is a pretty big topic that goes outside of even CitizenCon, really. I went over this a bit in my own CitizenCon video, and I think the game, so I think they do sell the vision. These videos they're true, right? I have it playing again here, and I'm watching it, and like everything they're showing is in the game. So obviously, you know, it's not a lie, but everybody sitting here, and probably most of the people listening to this, know it doesn't actually play out like that. Like, they're like, mine, haul, trade, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go haul. But what am I? They're still selling the vision, and there is still plenty of vision to sell. That's absolutely the case. I think, though, there is going to be a certain point at which the game is going to be equal vision and equal gameplay. Like, for so long, we've been thinking about what's going on, what's happening in the game, what are we going to be able to do, talking theory and all this stuff. This is the first CitizenCon where I feel like they can come out and show us a gameplay demo that would still be impressive, because there's enough gameplay actually there for them to put together an impressive scenario. So I feel like they've reached this moment where they need to start to shift the marketing from focusing on the vision of Star Citizen to focusing more on kind of what we are doing in Star Citizen now, because we've reached this point where they have enough game to advertise the game and not just the idea of the game. And I think putting out videos like this should be one of the last videos that we look at and feel like we can't do what they're doing. I think next year during what is it? In July,
Invictus?
June, I think it is. Yeah, Invictus Week. I think whatever video they're putting out for Invictus Week next year should be a little bit like pretty in line with what we're doing, whatever they put in that video. It's definitely a blurred line. Like, it's a gray area, because like I said, they're just getting into that time where there's enough gameplay to start advertising it. But the more and more they get into that period of time, the more they're going to get criticism for looking like, you know, not like they're providing what's actually in the game.
Okay. Nice observation. I like that. Kelosal, what about you? What do you think?
I mean, I had a conversation somewhat on this level with another friend who's in here tonight, and we were talking about some of the things that were being promised and some of the things that, you know, in terms of development. I mean, yes, there's some books on how to develop a game, but there is who's to say that Chris Roberts has to do what a standard industry needs to do in terms of developing a game? You know, you got people that come in there and they start paying money, and then they say, well, I want this game out because I gave you $3 million or $30 million. And that tends to a lot of times stagnate a development of a game. Sometimes instead of you having 100 things you want to put in, these people come in here and start demanding, and now you got to move from 100 items to 50 items. So now you lessen the aspect of the game because you're trying to appeal or appease a certain group of privileged folks. And it gets me upset when I see that. The other thing, and I'll get more into that detail in just a minute, but the other thing that I was looking at is there are some people, I don't think they're being intentional, but sometimes people tend to be a little bit too disingenuous with the information. There are 2 games being developed here. 2. Squadron 42, and then we have Star Citizen. Now, just because we see these things in a promo does not mean it's not going to end up in game. There are a lot of things that we know that we've heard about will be in Squadron 42. So we don't have to expect a space worm right now in alpha. Get over it, folks. We see it. It's going to be there. Just be patient and wait. We have another game that's being developed, the primary game, which is Squadron 42. So I think people just needs to get off their high horse as far as those naysayers. They're not going to play the game anyways, and they want to do what they want to do to go ahead and discredit the game. That's their whole intention. So I'm not even concerned about them. You know, just be patient. Allow the game to develop the way it's developing. There are a lot of things that we are expecting that are coming in game even right now. It's about to come out in 3.15. And the more of us that are patient enough to go along with the ride, the more we're starting to get exactly what we've been promised. So I'm excited as far as what they have going on. But I think sometimes people just need to just back off and let Chris Roberts develop the game that he has envisioned and allow us to be able to play a game that we've all wanted for years, for decades.
Okay. Abdi, before I come to you, I want to take a little bit of what Space said and a little bit of what Kelosal said, because again, CitizenCon is and I think Morphologist talks about this a little bit, that somebody's looping through. Kelosal, you're coming through on me for some reason.
Sorry about that.
I don't know, volume a little high. Yeah. One of the things he mentions is that CitizenCon is a couple things he mentioned beyond getting together with community, beyond the event with the developers. He also talks about it being a moment of accountability and the time where CIG gets to stand up and say, here's where we are. This is what we're doing. This is what we want to do for the community, for those who are backing the game, which is true. And Tomato mentions, you know, a lot of the points he mentioned there were very solid. Kelosal mentions about this thing about it's going to be there. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, when CitizenCon happens, you're going to see it roll out within the next year, but it is going to be in the game. But then he said this word patience. We're approaching year 10 on my clock, year 10. Okay. I guess we could say 10 officially if we talk about the Kickstarter, maybe 11 if you want to go back. But being patient, is that a factor? Is it a fair factor? Because there are some people who will say, well, how long is too long for a game like this? And to Tomato's point, he says that this year may be the year that dial needs to start to turn now, so that people have been patient. We're going on next year will be a decade in 2022. Do we need to start seeing not just the possibilities of what's happening in Star Citizen, but what is actually happening in Star Citizen? And I got to say this too. That's why I asked you guys the question earlier. Was that video a lie? Because is that stuff not happening just because we aren't playing in the sandbox? Are we waiting on CIG to do stuff still that says that you can't run off your Valkyrie or do this or do that or do this? You know what I'm saying? So you can answer however you want to, Abdi, but I'm just going to get your thoughts. Oh, Lefty. Whoa. Oh, Lefty kicking us off with the Big 10.
Hello, Lefty.
Thank you, Lefty. Oh my God.
Thank you so much. That's
so
dope.
Cool. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Really nice.
For that we didn't, I didn't have Whammer ready or anything. I'm sleeping at the wheel here today. Lord. You know what? I reset the computer.
Whammer's coming in.
Yeah, I reset the computer and that jacked me up. I'm sorry.
So that international vacation.
Listen, you know what? We cannot let Whammer not jump in there for a hot second, but he'll hopefully pop in.
Put some mayo on you.
Okay, that was the wrong one. I don't know what he said there, but anyway. Go ahead, Abdi. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Abdi. What were you gonna say?
All I'm gonna say is that I used to work for a tech company, a small startup, and I mean, I'm not comparing RSI to a small tech startup because they're like one of the bigger crowdfunding games in all of history, but something that everyone was talking about here kind of rang true to me. And being a person that worked as a designer on software, front end designer, it's just so funny because something that you see in tech a lot is that you have salespeople who go to other people and say, this is what our product can do. And oftentimes the product can't actually do that yet. Because
I was that salesperson at one point.
Right? And it's so fun to hear like, okay, we came back from this really big, con or presentation or something like that.
Right.
And now our software has to do this. And to hear the developers say, oh God.
What did he just say?
Like, why? And oftentimes that's the way that tech works. You promise things because people want it, because the vision is interesting, because the vision gets people excited. It doesn't mean that it's a lie, but it is a hope. It's a belief almost. And that's the strange thing about Star Citizen. I mean, you jump on a game like Halo that has a strong foundation, and you know what you're going to get. Maybe, variations of it will change from year to year for sure. But with Star Citizen, there's just so much belief and so much patience that goes into it, and so much being hey, we got
Kelosal, thank you for that sub gift.
So much.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Really nice.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Okay.
Oh God, and there's Whammer. Love it. Terrifying. You know what? That makes sense with Halloween coming up. Whammer needs his own Halloween movie.
Tomato's laughing. He's like, I can't believe I'm on a show with a hamburger talking right now. So,
no, man, I love it. There's a tomato in there somewhere.
That's
so
right.
There is a tomato. I think the tomato is the. Never mind. I'm not even.
Go ahead. On that note,
Griffin went there.
On that note,
I didn't. I don't know how to get back to my point, but basically, Star Citizen is a different beast in and of itself. There's so much hope that goes into it, and so much vision. And like Tomato said, we're starting to catch up. The development is starting to catch up with where that vision is, but it's not quite there yet. But I think, like Tomato said, like it's got to start getting there. Okay. People are expecting it, and I think the developers are too.
Let's put it this way: you guys have all seen the machinimas people are making, right?
Oh yeah,
you can make this game look good in engine.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's perfect advertising for the game. They could do that too. It doesn't all have to be bombastic and exciting and loud. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. I'm just saying there are ways to do the advertising directly 100% with things you can point to and be like, no, people did that in the game. You know,
developers appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Like the parts details that really got me is like when you saw that cyclone jumping off of the ship and landing on the 890. In that video, like that's like real stuff that happened. Or like I think they had part of the Daymar rally in it or something. That stuff, seeing people actually do things.
Yeah.
Or like when I think back to I'm in SpaceTomato's org, GII represent, like that, like the things that we've done in our org events, that lines up more than what that video does. Because like the good feelings that I have from playing in those big org events, even though they can get messy, the game breaks, like that to me is more of a sales pitch than some of the stuff that was in that video.
Yeah. And maybe go Kelosal. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to add to those points. I mean, because they make Abdi and SpaceTomato make some very good points. The point that I want to add on to that is, almost 10 years later, and now it seems like now they finally have the tools developed to go ahead and continue on as what we talked about. If you listen to Jared this past Star Citizen Live, he sat there and referenced Queen's song of Flash. And he said no, so it's like Flash is out now, and they're
you're not gonna sing it, Kelosal?
No, I'm not. although I love that show.
There's actually, I think, a really good example of that I noticed. Oh, what was it? they just added something where they talked about how the thruster VFX are affecting dust, right? And then they said they're going to take that technology and make it so that the ships can create a wake when they're flying over things. If you think back, I think it was CitizenCon 2017. In the video, they're flying the Aurora across the water in Hurston, and you hear Chris in the background being like, "Oh yeah, someday the spaceships are gonna make water fly off the back while they're flying." And we're like 4 years later, and it's actually going into the game. So it does happen. It takes a while.
That's one reason why you should watch SpaceTomato's content, because he does a good job of looking at the history of development and bringing that into the context of where we are right now. And that's stuff that is so hard to keep on top of, because like one tiny thing said in a video way back in 2017 is so freaking hard to remember.
Well, you think that's bad? Imagine being around since 2013. Now this is the other side of the coin.
Right,
but there's another side to the coin to that, and I'm not saying it in a negative way. I am saying that for the people who've been around since the early days and literally watched this, arc of development, it can be frustrating. But I think if you've really paid attention, you understand what's actually taking place. That means both the successes and failures of the company and its development process, right? I do understand, though, when new people come in who don't have those experiences, who didn't sit through, 2015's non-delivery, 2016's disappointment at CitizenCon. I mean, the people who didn't live through that and who come in 2018 or 19 or 20, who may see the game for what it is right now. I've been really impressed, and I've talked about this in previous shows before, of listening to the people who've come over within the last year. Actually, it's been less than that, within the last 4 or 5 months, from Elite, who are space nerds, but when they came into this game, they see it from an entirely different perspective than those of us who've been playing Star Citizen and not Elite. And they are much warmer to the game, and they have their reasons for feeling that way because of some of the experiences that they've had in Delete. And it was really weird, and Kelosal and I've talked about this, that they have their own perspective about delays and things not happening in time. We're not the only ones going through that. You know what I mean? And sometimes if you stay in the Star Citizen bubble, you do feel like we're going through so much, it's taking so long. But you talk to the other players, and they'll tell you they've suffered even worse. I mean, if you guys, and I'm not picking on Elite, but if y'all see Elite's roadmap, you will be kissing the CIG, because their roadmap was freaking 2 paragraphs, and that was it.
Did you see the Cyberpunk roadmap?
No.
Oh.
No.
It's like a page.
Are you serious?
With a couple lines. There weren't any dates. There were just like some lines in like a general H2 of 2021. No, it was oof.
Can you imagine people trying to create content off of that? Like, there's so many content creators for Star Citizen, but if it was just this trickle drop feed, oh my God, it would just be nothing. It'd be speculation every week.
That's what I think. Somebody said that to me. I'm pretty sure it was today. It might have been yesterday. My memory's not great these days. But somebody just said that to me recently. They were like, it's amazing that it was a real life friend, so they don't actually follow Star Citizen, but they were like, it's amazing that you can create this much content off a game that's not even out yet. And I'm like, you have no idea how much information they give us. It's crazy.
My wife said the same thing about the opposite. She was like, it's amazing that you can watch this much content about Star Citizen. And I was like, there's just a lot going on every week.
And
I get that one too.
And I'm going to build on what both these brothers have just said and say, it's amazing that there's a convention for a game that's not officially out. I'm still blown away by that. Seriously, the fact that there's people who travel from around the world to a city for a game that is still quote unquote in development, like Star Citizen. And we're going to jump into that next part. Let me start off with Kelosal this time around, and then I'll go to Tomato and then Abdi. What is your experience with CitizenCon? Have you been to one? If you haven't, was it just that you saw it on screen? Just real quick, just give us what your experience was. And I'll start with Kelosal.
My first and only one was 2018. That was the one in Austin, right? Was that one in Austin?
Yep. Austin.
Yep. That was the one in Austin. That was my first and only one. It was a one-shot wonder because I had to really go around the place. I'll tell you another story another time. But that was one of the best experiences. It wasn't my only con because we have Comic-Cons here in Tampa. So I experienced at least something on that end of the boat. But that was my first CitizenCon that I went to, and I was looking forward to one in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, COVID hit. So hopefully, when that comes back to Los Angeles, we'll be ready for that one.
Okay. Tomato?
Never been to one. I have watched them. I think I started watching them in 2015. The first one I remember is 2014, but that was like I was just watching the videos afterward. Watched it live 2015, and then from then on. But the first one I actually really remember was 2016. I would say that was and that was just incredible. I mean, there was the demo in 2016 was incredible. It also obviously was on a planet that's so far away from anything we have now. You won't see it anytime. It was insane, and it got me really excited for the game. But I haven't gotten to experience the in-person community aspect of it. I can't wait to. My wife is super excited to go. I'm excited to go. So next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Abdi.
Yeah, so I think I've said this before. I pledged in 2015, played the game on my computer that couldn't run it, stopped playing the game, and came back pretty much this year after watching both Subliminal and SpaceTomato here. So they brought me back to the game, but I didn't watch anything until I watched their streams again, and then I just started devouring content that I'd missed. And the thing that got me into the game in 2015 was the People to Planet. And was that from a CitizenCon? But I didn't watch it live.
The one with the guy's eye, and then
yeah. Okay. Well, so was
that was from a CitizenCon?
Right. So did you see the CitizenCon episodes because you watched them, or that's what you eventually saw CitizenCon? Because you said you've never been to one, right?
Never been to one.
Okay.
I only watched them.
Okay.
So I didn't even really fully understand back then that there was a place that people were gathering to watch these videos.
Okay.
In a convention style. So yeah, my first one has not happened yet, and I look forward to when it does, but hopefully next year.
Okay.
And this year I'll be watching online for sure.
Okay. Well, for me, I like Kelosal. I was there at 2018 Kelosal. I didn't see you. I was
in the front row, buddy. I was in the front 3 rows. I didn't go see anybody. I didn't. I saw Montoya. I met Captain Richards.
Yeah.
But I didn't go talk to anybody because I was exhausted.
Well, since there's only usually a few of us there, I would have thought I would have seen you, but I didn't see you is all I'm saying. Okay. So you must have ran out and ran in. Oh, I know you were there. And I saw Fast Card. Yeah, so that was the only other person on the team I think that I knew back then. But yeah, I will say that the experience in 2018 was, I went in 2016 too. CC Creator, thank you for five CC. Cool subscriptions. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He's got like 2 tomato tongues.
Yeah, man, double the fun.
Oh Lord. So 2016 was great. It was my first time going. I was with some good friends. I was with Gladestone, and I can't think of the other guy's name. Glade, if you remember the other guy's name we were with, that I was there with in Los Angeles. And then in 2018, I went with some more friends and had a great time with them as well. And I will say the experience within those 2 years was doubly better than it was before that. Got to meet a lot of people there. The organization of it was really good. And I was just blown away again for a convention for a game that was still being developed. And I want to say at that convention, we went to the first one, there was 600 to 800 people. When I went 2 years later, I think there was 1,800. The number had doubled, if not more. And again, people from all over the world attended that event, and it was really, really great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one as well when we have that one.
Yeah, can I just say that
sure.
The size of the community of this game, I don't know when it happened, but it freaking exploded. Like I did not consider it to be a big big group of people, even back when I first started doing SpaceTomato stuff like a couple of years ago. But now it feels like an actual, like a decent size. I meet people who know about this game.
Yeah.
Freaking, I was talking to the Xfinity tech the other day, and he recognized me. He's like, "Hey, you're SpaceTomato." I was like, "What?"
That's like, I want to get you that good internet.
But it's crazy how many people are following this game now. Like you said, I don't even. How big is a CitizenCon going to be now next year?
Yeah, that's amazing. That really is amazing. My daughter was with some friends a couple weeks ago, talking about video games, and she happened to say, "Oh, have you guys ever heard of Star Citizen?" And the other 3 friends just booed. I mean, Like, what the scam? I'm like, what in the world? You know,
and I get too. They're like, the scam game.
She was so caught off guard by me. She found herself defending a game that she's not even playing yet. You know, but she was like, no. And then she said, Dad. She came home, Dad, you got to send me a trailer. So I sent her one of the things, and all the people recanted because all their information was based upon 5 years ago. They had no idea of where the game was at. When they saw it, it was the video on medical when they showed all the stuff with the new stuff and everything. Yeah. And her friends totally flipped around and was like, oh my God, we didn't know this game was this far along. You know, we thought that. So yeah, you know, I hear you, Tomato. It's kind of interesting. And it has changed. The fact that people outside of the community even know about this game.
The dial's turned a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the scam comments all that much now. It's just like, oh, my grandparents or my grandkids are gonna play it, whatever. Like, it's the things, the comments, the YouTube comments are starting to kind of shift
the other way. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Okay, look, we're gonna look at and these guys have just talked a little bit about our experiences with CitizenCon. I put together a short video that's based around, for those of you who've gone to CitizenCon, usually what they'll do is put out a video called The Road to Release. And it's usually a video that kind of says how they prepared, what they were getting ready for the CitizenCon. This is kind of a combination of Chris's, both his opening speech as well as when Chris does his thing, he usually does the first part where he does a presentation. We kind of break, we go into the different sessions, and then he comes back with the second half. And so what I did was just kind of get rid of the middle part, put the first two together, just to give you an idea. And we're going to look at, this is from 2019. Tomato mentioned this was 2 years ago, when we had our very last CitizenCon, and we heard from Chris at this level. And what we want to do is talk about what he talked about then, where we are now, and then we're going to talk about this year's convention. So let us take a look. If I can find it. Where is it? There it is.
So welcome to Manchester. Hope you like that. That was done by our marketing cinematic group, which did an amazing job on the Carrick commercial. So it is awesome to be back here in Manchester. In 15, it was actually the first time we showed the very beginning glimpse of the baby PU, we called it then. Now we have a much bigger persistent universe. So we're back here 4 years. It's actually where our biggest development area is. We have about 300 and I think 30 people working up in here in Manchester. So we're very, very happy to be here. Welcome to everyone that's joining us from around the world here locally, and also everyone that's watching online live. Thank you for joining and watching us. And we also want to thank the sponsors that have helped us out with the event. So we have LG, AMD, Actina, and Corsair, who have all contributed equipment and helped out in general with the event. So thank you guys very much. Anyway, we're looking forward to giving you a great show today. There's a lot of really cool panels. And we're actually going to do something a little different with the demo this time around. We're going to have an opening portion of the demo, and then we're going to come back at the very end of the day and sort of finish it up. And just also let you know that the auditorium panels that are going on that you guys can go and see during there, and there's some really cool and great ones. I also don't know if you guys are going to have a chance to check out Theaters of War, because I think that's still in the early stages, but it'd be really great to have your feedback, and I think it's going to be
Thank you, Grandmaster, for the follow.
But the auditorium
Thanks for the follow.
will be available on YouTube in a couple of days for you guys. So last year, at the end of CitizenCon, I had the sort of road to release roadmap. You know, as of last year, we said, well, we've achieved 7 of those 12 that we'd set out to do, starting with the hangar and going all the way to, you know, location persistence and planet tech. But, you know, since then, we delivered the OCS and band culling at the end of last year, which I think made a big difference on the client performance. And, you know, we got a few things that we're doing this year. So, if I go. So we've showed it, but Planet Tech 3.5 is what we did last year. Sorry, I'm behind on the... Can I not get this up here? Otherwise I'm going to have to look up here. I forget about it. So we had ship purchases, ship rentals, which is actually quite cool because you don't have to buy with cash any of the ships. You can rent or purchase them with the money you're earning in the game. And we've also been shifting to quality.
Remember when that wasn't a thing?
Development, which is, you saw a little bit of that in Alpha 3.7. We're more serious about that. So we've moved the teams to 6-month cycles. We're still delivering patches every 3 months, but the teams themselves get 6 months to work on their features or their content that will go into whatever patch they're sort of designated for. And I think it gives them more time to do good work and iterate and give you a better experience. And we're slowly working on aspects of the gameplay, in terms of, say, the feel of flight or the feel of combat. We're doing things like, Sean was showing the sort of theaters of war where that's a good sort of contained mode that will allow us to sort of fine-tune what's really cool about Star Citizen, which is sort of the mixed arms, the ability to be on the ground or in a vehicle or up in space. And so we are increasing our focus to make sure that the game experience now is, 3.7 I think is probably our most stable release today. But the game experience now is good and then is just improving as we go on. So this is what's coming up next. So in 3.8, we are going to have the very first iteration of server-side OCS. So and you guys didn't know it because we didn't want to spoil the thing, but the demo we ran this morning was running it, and this, what we're running right now, is running SOCs, and you'll understand why it's important as we get into the demo, assuming it doesn't crash, which, you never know.
Thank you, Scuba Steve.
To let you know, so it's the first iteration of the server-side OCS. So we have like server persistence in the session of the server. So the server, whenever it it leaves an area, it streams stuff out. It remembers the state of all the items and all the stuff that was there at that time, but it doesn't persist beyond the server session. The bigger thing, which we've talked about in the future, is sort of the iCache, which is the full persistence. So platform persistence is one other thing that we're putting in the 3.8, which is is basically a halfway house to the very full persistence, but the platform persistence is going to allow us to save off the alpha UEC that you've earned. Also, any items or ships that you've bought or rented in the game are going to... So they're going to get saved off to the platform in the same way that we record all your shop cash purchases. And so when a new release comes, we can re-entitle it back to the account in the same way we do for everything that you do. And the plan with that is to not have to wipe between iterative releases on a major release, and potentially even from one release to the next. And we do reserve the right if there's like a major issue or a major rebalance, or we have to redo the database on a major release, then at that particular time we may have to wipe it. But in general, the goal is to let you guys make money in the game, earn things, collect things, and not have it wiped every time we do a new release. So we're aiming to ship that that will hopefully be, that should be with the 3.8 patch cycle. And now, Planetech V4, which we obviously sort of unveiled at the beginning, and there was some really cool panels about it during the day, which I think is gonna, just the quality of not just Microtech, but going back to the old places like Daymar or Cellen is whole new world. One of the focuses we got upcoming too, which we not particularly managed to show well this morning, is the social group gameplay, but that is a focus for us to make sure that the FOIP and the VoIP and the group gameplay stuff works well. It's important for us to get stuff working for, as Sean mentioned, for the Theaters of War, but just in general, playing, grouping up with your friends in the universe, doing stuff. And so that is a focus, and you'll see us iterating on that.
Thanks for the follow.
3.8, 3.9, and onwards. More robust missions. So we've got some stuff coming up in 3.8 that is interesting. There's we're starting to introduce AI into some of the missions, like say the rescue the hostage on the 890, which we had in an ATV. We're showing a very early version of it that will be in 3.8, and there'll be some other ones along that line of missions, and that's multi-part missions, which also what we're showing is sort of an early version of a multi-part mission, what we showed beginning and we're going to end with here, that 3.9.40 onwards. Then, sometime around about middle of this year, I think, so full universe persistence. And that is the persistence that allows us to save everything, period. So you can take your coffee mug that you've got in the carrack.
The old coffee mug story.
Explore on a planet and drop it in a forest. Get back on your carrack, fly away, and someone else could go to that forest and see that coffee mug, or you could come back and see it if someone else hasn't stolen it. And so and that iterates to every dynamic item in the game gets saved off. So basically, we save the state, it goes back to a cloud database. It's what we're calling the iCache. Of course, there'll be some stuff like, we want to be smart where like people can't like stack 1,000 turtles in a place. So obviously, we'll have some policies on the items. So at some point, when we're saving it to the database, we'll say, well, this is a low importance item. There's too many in this area. So therefore, and this one's been around too long, so we just won't bother saving that to the database. And then you'll just sort of be like, oh, someone came along while you weren't there and took the turtle or cleaned it up. But in general, usually, so the permanent structures. So one thing that gives us is the ability for you as players to go around the universe and ultimately, you want to create your own base somewhere, create your own homestead. You should be able to settle down and put a base there, and it will be recorded back to the iCache, and you can come back to it, and it will be there, and it will persist. And so I think the opportunity for emergent gameplay that comes from that is going to be fantastic, because as you saw with what Tony was doing in his presentation before, we're going to have dynamic resources in the universe. We're also going to persist those. So they'll be finite, so there'll be only so much gold or hadonite or whatever it is on various moons or planets. And as they get mined out, then you'll have to find some other place to move to it. And there's an especially rich seam. I can see a group of players coming, setting up camp there and starting to mine the resources. And then I can see some other groups saying, oh, well, that's great. I want some of that. They show up, and you basically have two groups battling out. And then there's a whole business that's going to be involved in supplying more weapons or logistics or healing people or bringing consumables that people need. So I think there's going to be this like dynamic, evolving system that will be incredibly interesting and compelling, and I'm really looking forward to that. And that's enabled by the full universe persistence, which is, like I said, the full persistence of all items, ships, characters, and also persistent tracking of the resources. And then the last thing, which we won't, I think, get to by the end of next year, but we'll be very close to it, is server meshing. And so everything we've been doing up until then, and that's when I think everything fully comes alive, is the server meshing allows us to have a lot more players in the same area. But the work that we've done on the kind of server-side OCS, where you can change the point of view of the server arbitrarily anywhere around, and save off state is exactly what you need for server meshing, because what happens in a server, if more people arrive, say, I don't know, in New Babbage, and you suddenly go, oh, we can only run 100 people or 200 people or whatever the number we can simulate on the server, and there's now 201 people, you say, okay, I'm going to spin up a second server. Here's another view onto New Babbage, and these players are on that, and you just keep on spinning up more to take on the load in areas. And so that's why we needed the server OCS and the bank culling and the full persistence, and it enables server meshing. So that's the next thing. Once we deliver the full persistence, we're actually already starting to work on the network side of what we need for the server meshing right now. But we're really excited about that, because then that's going to allow a sort of dynamic, seamless universe that won't have the same player count restrictions. And by the way, we'll also, we don't know quite with server OCS what we'll be able to do, but we're going to start experimenting with some player counts in the future and maybe upping it, because at the end of the day, if we're not simulating the whole system and it's a smaller subset of that, we'll be able to have more players. So So we'll see in the midterm if we get more players into a server right now, but longer term server meshing is what's going to allow us to really have a fully dynamic universe. And then on the smaller things that we're going to be working on is, obviously, I've talked about the quality of life. It's an ongoing effort for us. You're only starting to see the very, very beginnings of it. So we have some dedicated teams that just focus on the quality of life. We have what we call the vehicle experience team that we're working on things to improve how it feels operating and running a vehicle. I mentioned that there was a couple of things like the look ahead, some small stuff that we showed in the opening, but there's a lot more stuff to come, and also in terms of the feel of combat and all the rest of the stuff. We're going to be adding obviously more loops. I think next up we've got sort of fueling, refueling, fuel collection. Then it'll be salvage, more content obviously, and then open up a bit. We'll see what happens. All right. So now we've done that, we're going to head into our demo. But at first, let's just recap and I'll get Todd Pappy up here with me, wherever he is. Hello, Pappy. Come on. There we go.
Where's Brian Chambers?
All right.
Okay, let me go to the panel here. Let's start with you, Abdi, this time. Any thoughts from what you saw there 2 years ago? They're in Manchester, compared to where we are now. What are your thoughts?
Sorry about that. I was on mute. This man is built on hope. I think a lot of people look at him and they say that he lies, but I don't see that from when I look at him. He's the kind of person where, and I'm kind of like this too, where like my friends are like, hey, the party's at 6 o'clock, and I'll be like, I'm on my way. I'm like, I'll be there right at 6 o'clock, and then I'm there at 6:15. Like that's what I see when I look at Chris Roberts. He really wants to be there at that time, but it just doesn't always happen. And I think that's, I don't know. This man is just built on hope. I think it brings backers a lot of comfort to see him speak. But as a person, I mean, who dropped off the game from 2015, between 2015 and now, or not now, but earlier this year, I prefer people who are professional speakers sometimes. They can present the information in a way where it's just, and this is probably just me, and that's okay if it's just me. If everyone disagrees, that's cool. But like, I don't know, he just rambles. He rambles for so long, and he could get to these points so much faster. And I don't know. In terms of like what he was actually saying, those dates passed. That's just this game's way. That's just development, But I think that they're getting better at tightening up those
do you
roadmap.
think, let me ask you
outlooks.
this: do you think that maybe that is the compromise, though, because the community does want to hear from Chris? And if you had somebody up there who spoke eloquently and well and got all the information out in a more concise way, do you and the reason why I'm saying that is because whenever Chris says something, right, if he posts something, if it's a Spectrum, if it's a Pillar Talk or whatever, the community seems to, for lack of a better term, simmer down. It seems like we
do.
we
Yeah,
breathe,
I've seen that.
You know what I mean? We breathe, and it's like, okay,
But here's
we
the
heard
thing.
from Chris.
Is that
I didn't keep up with
though?
development.
Is it what?
Is that artificial scarcity? Like, do they limit Chris's time with us so that we are in a drought?
I think that that's a good idea though, because honestly, like, I didn't track with the development around 2015 for a reason. Like, all those videos where Chris was talking, he would just ramble the whole time, and I just was not into that.
Okay.
But then now you have these like Star Citizen Lives or not the ISCs, where it's highly structured, highly produced, good, good tidbits of content, and I much more prefer that. And it makes it so that when he does put out a video like once every year or once every twice a year or whatever, I'll listen to him because I can do that. Okay. But if it's every week, if it's a weekly show with him, maybe this is just like the comms person, because I work on a comms team. maybe that's just me.
Okay.
But I see the issues that people have with his dates, and the issue that I see with his speaking ability. And that's not to say that he's not a great like visionary and everything like that, but I think that sometimes that can lead to some issues.
Okay.
But that's me. Again, that's me.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Colossal. 2019 till now.
I mean, major improvements. OCS check. Planet 3.5 tech check. Ship rental check. Now we're at where we're going into the future, where we're going into medical gameplay. And it looks like we're going into industrial stuff. It looks like the cargo ships are about to come out sometime soon. So there are a lot of things. We're talking about object containment. I mean, they changed the names of some of these things.
Right.
So there's some major improvement between then and now. And some people would say, okay, it's taking a long time, but once again, you're building the game from scratch. Oh, and two, by the way. So and plus, you're building a game that you're developing brand new tools, and you're pretty much now basically almost have the things that you need to go ahead and move on in a quicker pace. So I mean, I get the fact that Chris Roberts can be what I would say a little bit long-winded, because I am too when I do my lectures. But at the same time, when you don't, I mean, there was a time when Chris Roberts was on every other week, or when he was doing shows early on with Sandy and Ben Lesnick and things like that, and we saw some of that even creep in there. So now all of a sudden, when you get him at the presentations, I think a lot of people there are, on the flip side, I think a lot of people look forward to listening to him, because just like Griff said, they haven't seen him in such a long time, to where seeing him for that period of time, if he goes a little bit longer, gives them that assurance, and it calms everybody down based off of what I've seen.
Which is understandable to me, and
right.
I agree with. I think it's actually better to do it that way, though. I'm just saying that I think that scarcity or whatever, like is it makes it so that when he does come online, like people are rapt, like they are interested to hear what he has to say, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, there are several people that people want to see. Chris Roberts is definitely one of them. Brian Chambers is another one. Tony Zervik is another one. Everybody's looking for Todd Pappy and
I think it goes, Colossal, I think it goes back to when we had said that one of the things that we felt that CIG did well was when they did pillar talks, because you had the heads of all the departments who I think most of the people in the community respect. Todd Pappy, Sean Tracy, Brian Chambers, even when Eric would come on, I think that it was kind of like, whether it was annually or biannually or quarterly, to hear from them, kind of, again, it's almost like when Chris speaks, we know those guys know what they're doing. They articulate well what's going on in development, and it's just great to hear from them. I agree. Back in the early days, when we had 10 for the chairman and stuff, and Chris was, it was very frequent. And I think Jade said something in chat a few minutes ago. No, it's better that Chris is worrying about dealing with the business more than all this community relations stuff. But I also know that community relations is important to hear from the visionary. It's great to hear from the devs and the community managers and everything else, but you kind of need that injection. I want to reference Morphologist's video again today. Please make sure you guys take a look at his video that he put out today about Star Citizen. He said something that was important. He said that there was a noticing that over the last year, when we didn't have CitizenCon, that there's been kind of like a slow decline that's taken place. It's like whenever CitizenCon comes around, we kind of get that, that booster shot, pardon the expression. We get that booster shot, you know what I mean? It kind of gets everybody reinvigorated for the next year. And to go 2 years without that, and also it's a booster shot from the community coming together, the physicality of talking with the developers, the response afterward. We did miss something last year. We really did. So I think it does make a difference when we hear from them and when it's articulated well. Because even Tony Z, there's some people who love to hear from Tony Z, and there's other people when Tony Z talks is too much. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, they're not public speakers. Don't get me wrong, they're not.
No,
they're trying to articulate what they do. Chris is like that, articulating what it is that's in. How do you completely articulate a vision to everybody? Some people get it. Some people are like, Chris, just show us the stuff. You know what I mean? When you go to the convention, people are like, okay, Chris, finish up that thing so we can watch the video. That's how people feel. There are other people who can sit there and listen to him and listen to him and listen to him go on. Tomato, what about you? Let's get your thoughts on this video.
Well, with this talk specifically, I'm going to talk about what he showed first, and then I'll talk about Chris himself, like you guys commented on. But for this show specifically, mostly it rolled out. It was what we expected. It's what he said. Obviously, there was some delay in some pieces because of COVID and because it's Star Citizen, there are delays. But there were two spots that really kind of stood out to me, and these, I guess, are the more subjective sections there, but it's the improved social gameplay and the more robust missions. He mentioned that was going to be more to do with being able to play with your friends and enjoy your time with your friends. And I think right now, VoIP is still not in a place where you can enjoy time with your friends unless you're using a service outside of the game. You could get lucky, but it's not reliable enough to be able to just tell a friend, hey, let's jump into Star Citizen, meet you at Port Olisar at 5 p.m. Just send me a party invite, and then you guys both jump into the game. You get there, and then it's like, okay, well, let's open Discord real quick so we can talk. I think that if they want to say, hey, we got good social features to support group gameplay, they really need to focus on fixing those kinds of problems. And that might be a server meshing thing. We don't know, but I do think that it kind of sticks out to me when that is on there. And being able to link together and send people money, that stuff is good, but it's still it's hurting being able to try and play with friends, especially if you're new to the game. The other thing is the robust missions. And I think what most people would point to when he says that is the multi-part mission, which is what he referenced in that demo, which is the big one where you go down to Microtech, you get you get tools for the trade, you go and you do the mission, and then you have like exfiltration, you deliver that somewhere. We kind of have that, but we haven't gotten any new one of those since then. So obviously the tech they used for that mission is getting used in other places, and that's totally fine. That's why I'm not like, I want my data download mission. They don't have it. But a lot of what was included in there in that robust mission set, you don't really get that in the game either, even with some of the deeper missions like the price of freedom or boarding action, I think.
Yeah.
Chris himself, I like hearing him talk. I really do. And I think he's in this position where he's so dedicated. He knows this so well that he wants to be able to share every detail of that with people. When I make my videos, I get defensive about I have to cut a ton of stuff from the script because I put in all these details and I'm like, oh yeah, and then you can do this, and then you can do that, and then this happens. And I'm like, okay, hold on. It's got to, people are going to sit there and listen to this. You can't make it super long. I think Chris is like that, but obviously for him, it's so much bigger. So he wants people to know every little detail of yeah, you can do this. Yeah, look at that. You can hear it when he's they're doing the demos, he'll just be like, oh yeah. And you guys missed this, but if, it is there. And you're like, Chris.
I remember the time when he was showing the video and they flew over the mountain with the little man that said, welcome to CitizenCon. And everybody was laughing because something had happened right before that. And Chris stopped. Yeah. He literally did. In the middle, thinking, oh, you guys missed the guy on the mountaintop.
Yeah,
he does. Exactly. He catches those little things.
He does that. And that's Chris. He's very excited about it. But I think he also gets this fear that, one, if he doesn't explain it well enough, people won't back it, won't get on board with it. And two, if he allows people to understand how much time it could take, not that it will take, but how much time it could take, I think he's worried that people would get very scared. So he does jump the gun. He's gotten much better at it, but he does jump the gun sometimes and say, oh yeah, even if he doesn't say a date, we're hoping to get this, around when this is also done. And you're like, he told us, he's like, modular missions are going to be in the game before persistence, but he also just said earlier this year that we're getting persistence likely at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and we don't have modular missions. He didn't have to say that they would come in beforehand, but now that he did, suddenly it's not there.
The good of that is, I know sometimes some people put their feet in their mouths, but the good thing about that is you're hearing that from the horse's mouth. And so you don't have Jared to sit there and try to control people because Chris Roberts is the boss. So when Chris Roberts says these things that a lot of them aren't expecting being said, you're like, oh, so I knew it was going to happen. Thank you, CR. I think you appreciate that. And then,
Well, yeah, but then if it doesn't happen, that kills his credibility a little bit. And
that's what I'm talking about with the whole IT, with the whole salesperson thing, though. Like where a salesperson will say a thing and then the developers are like, yo, this takes longer, man. You can't say this kind of shit without like talking to us. Please talk to us. We'll tell you that it takes longer. Please, you know.
Very true. Did y'all hear what Rammer said?
No.
Said so.
I thought I heard that burger somewhere off in the.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That whammer.
Would be upset with us, Griff, if we didn't also mention. We mentioned Brian Chambers and the rest of them. If we didn't mention the lower lady.
If we didn't mention who?
The lower lady.
The lower lady. Who's? Oh yeah, because Fast Card will be bent out of shape. God, what's the woman's name?
I think it was Sarah. What is
No,
is
not
it
Sarah. No, not Sarah.
Was it?
No. What's the?
Who was it?
What's the
So
lady?
Fast Card. What's Fast Card? Fast Card's
Oh,
on here.
he put Psy in there.
Yeah.
Sherry. Yes, Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Well, yes and no, because Sherry's under Todd, so that was the reason why we didn't mention her, because she's not on the Pillar team. Well,
But a lot of people look forward to hearing from her. Definitely.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, because she has such enthusiasm for the lore.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh no, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Okay, well no, thank you guys. That was very candid, and I think those are some good observations in relation to where we are now. I was excited because of iCache, because that was back when we were hearing about it big time, and now we know that they are there because this inventory stuff is kicking in. Kelosal mentioned a few things that were we got check marks on. And then Tomato, you mentioned some things, or Abdi, you mentioned some things that, we're still not there yet, but we are. I do agree with you, Tomato, about this year. I've kind of said that this year and next year, at that 10th year thing, we got to start seeing it swing. I think that's like the grace period, and I think that it's got to start becoming practical in players' hands. I think if it goes beyond 10 years, you'll start seeing the stressors happen. I've been completely surprised, to be honest with you, at even the finances that CIG has been able to do over the last year. It's crazy. I honestly thought that this year we start seeing the decline. I really did. That was me personally. And I was really surprised at how well they've been doing. And somebody made a bet with me earlier in the year, will we hit 400 million by the end of the year? And I was like, I don't know. We might get close by. But you know what? It's getting there. It is really getting there. So
I don't know what the number is, but
it's like 380. Somebody, Fast Car, can you pull up the number for us where we are right now?
You got this thing. You got CitizenCon next week, and then you got the
anniversary. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they may do it. They may do it. I thought, that's a big target. That was back when we were like 342, 350, and now
when those carrots and those edges just go back on sale right off.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want to put it this way. So, like, I have a friend, and she loves the game, and super excited for CitizenCon. And the first thing that she said she was excited for is she's looking forward to get more ship concepts. And I was like, that's wonderful. I hope we get that. But the thing that I need to see, you got to understand, the thing that I need to see is gameplay. I need to see the gameplay, because if we're just getting JPEGs all day, what are we actually doing in the game?
I love that. It's just like a bless your heart kind of response.
Right, exactly.
That's not me being patronizing. That's not me being patronizing.
No, we know, but we get what you're saying. Trust me, we get it.
We've all been there.
Of all the things,
I just need the gameplay.
Yeah, but see, that's because, but again, that's where you are, and see, for her, that's what she'd be looking forward to.
She want to see the cool ships.
Right.
That's cool.
That'd be. I mean, first of all, you and I would say we want to see the ship, not the concept. You know what I mean? At the very least, she's still talking about concepts.
Straight to flyable.
There you go. That's what we're looking for. No, that's actually funny. Oh, by the way, Fast Cart put us in at 387 million, guys. 300. They are 13 million away. They're going to do it.
Yeah,
between CitizenCon and the anniversary, between those two, they're gonna do it, and it blows my mind. I swear that blows my mind.
Did y'all see what they were talking about with Concierge too?
You mean the new stuff?
The new stuff with Concierge.
If the backer money is reaching 400, then that means the investor money overall must be close to half.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
God, the amount of articles. Oh my God.
To put those articles up around this time of the year,
Holy crap. It's
Let
going to
the
be
hate mail fly, because it's going to fly. Here it comes.
$500,000 in 10 years.
Yeah. And mind you, this is honestly, if you look at the amount of people signed up, I think it's just 3 million, but we know that that's not how many people are playing the game. Imagine what happens when the game actually gets released, Squadron's out, you know, and the real, because there's really no marketing, no advertising other than the internal stuff, you know what I mean? So imagine when there are ads. I honestly, I've pictured myself sitting at a movie theater and seeing the commercial pop up for Star Citizen. That's
oh, for sure. And then everyone's gonna look at me and they're gonna be like, "Is this was the thing?" And I was gonna be like, "I've been trying to tell."
Yeah,
for so
it's
long.
kind of like
none of you listened to me. You threw stones at me.
You see a dip, you see a little a peek into that every once in a while. Like a couple years ago when Henry Cavill posted the trailer of Squadron 42, and you saw people coming on his Twitter. Is this a new Netflix series? Yes.
That's true. That's very true.
They're gonna see Mark Hamill. They're gonna see Henry Cavill. They're gonna,
God.
They're gonna see what's
boy.
his face from oh man, there's so many people. Scully, that's not her real name.
Yeah, but it's a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely
they got
right.
the star power. It's just they just need to put it out, and you'll see that money fly.
Very true. By the way, if you guys have not done it recently, go to imdb.com.
Gillian Anderson.
Sorry. Yep. Go to imdb.com, look up Star Citizen, and look at the actor role. It is unbelievable to see how many people that they have that are going to be performing in Squadron 42. So if you get some time, check it out.
This might be a hot take, but I think they went too far with it.
Really?
Well, yeah.
I think it's too much. I don't think you need that many big name people in a game.
It's not. Well, there are. Well, I guess it depends on how many of them you're calling big name, because I'm not calling everybody on that list big name.
Well,
there's just a lot of actors.
I mean, if I can name like 6 people on your cast, I don't know that many.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, because we're talking about Chris Roberts, right?
Yeah.
As a person in his stage of a career, and I can say this because I went to school for video production. I went to school for film. At a person that's at his stage in his career, he wants to see those faces. It's for him, you know, like he wants to make sure that he is elevating himself in his craft, and film is his craft too.
Yeah. I understand completely why he did it. I have no hate for that. I have no hate actually at all. I'm like,
it's a lot.
We don't need that.
It's a lot.
But you know what? That's his thing. It's his
needs
game.
it. Well, here's his vision.
Here's the other side of the coin.
It's his game.
Look at who a lot of the people are too, though. A lot of the main actors are people he's had a relationship with from back in the Wing Commander film.
They've been in his games,
and they've really
movies,
and they kind of. I think a lot of them have said, Chris, anytime you let us know. You know what I mean? Not everybody, but especially those earlier ones like John Rice Davies, Hamill, those are people he's had a relationship throughout all his projects. But it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. People have even talked about, will there be a quote unquote Star Citizen film that comes out of all this stuff? Who knows what the deal is that's struck behind closed doors with all these
Isn't Squadron
people,
42 already episodic?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, it is.
Please don't put a movie in between the episodes. Then the episodes will take longer to come out. Please.
This could be another cultural universe like Star Wars. I mean, not like Star Wars. That's way too big. But
well, maybe. Well,
you get 40K. You get things like Halo. You get different small sci-fi. Mass Effect has its own universe. Star Citizen could absolutely be its own. There's enough lore there.
Oh yeah,
definitely. For sure. I could see that being and I think it would need to be released to get there. But for sure. But right.
We're talking way down the road. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Star CitizenCon. No, because that's next week. We're about 10 years down the road. Okay. Let's jump into this schedule a little bit here. And guys, I'm just getting your quick overview because there's not a lot of detail that CIG posted. You all know that on the website right now, there is a page for CitizenCon. They actually came up with a direct URL for it too. So you can just type in citizencon.com and that'll take you directly to that now. Believe it or not, this year they did that.
I didn't know that.
But one of the things that they did this year was they broke it down for us. And of course, they haven't given us all the times. In my time zone, I think it starts at 10 a.m. if I'm remembering correctly. I'm Central. So you guys can build your time zones around that, but that's the time that the event will start. They haven't told us how long, what the duration of the sessions are. Usually they're an hour long, but they may be 50 minutes long, something like that. But we're opening up with Chris Roberts, and this is the typical thing. Chris comes out, basically does his opening, talks a little bit about where things are. Sometimes they've shown us the video, like the one I mentioned earlier, the Road to release. They've talked about that. We don't know if there's going to be, at this particular time in the show, there's some other things that come up too. Sometimes they will announce that something is going to be released that day of CitizenCon. Sometimes it may be the sale of a ship. Sometimes it's been the launch. Like right now, we're waiting on 3.15. It's at Evocati. They may tell us next week that, you know, when you guys leave today, we're releasing it. I mean, I can't see that happening right now because it just got recently to Evocati, but that has happened in the past before where, you know, the new patch came out that same day.
Maybe to PTU.
Yeah, in PTU. Yeah, in PTU. Yeah, not live. Yeah, absolutely. Let me go to Abdi on this one. Anything in particular you're looking forward to with the opening this year?
I mean, like everybody was talking about it. I know I said what I said about Chris Roberts. I hope y'all know, like, I really appreciate Chris Roberts. The reason why I'm here is because of his vision. I'm not backpedaling on saying that he isn't the greatest speaker I've ever seen, but I do think that he does inject a lot of energy into the community, and I'm a part of that. I'm excited to see the energy that he's able to bring to this presentation. I'm not sure what they're going to start off with. If it's going to be, I feel like they can't. I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about predictions later, but whatever it is, I'm hoping that it is impactful. And that he brings that he turns up the hope, you know. That's what we want to see. We want to see the vision, and that's what I'm looking for here.
Okay, Tomato, what about you?
I think Chris will come out. I'm hoping this will be the time that he takes to sort of tell us a little bit about how he's feeling about the progress. Tells us. I would absolutely love if he was just upfront and came out and told us about the last year and the challenges they've had with COVID and how that may have affected their timeline and their predictions. I would adore that.
Do we have to drink every time he says unprecedented? Because everyone is saying unprecedented right now. In these unprecedented times.
Oh, there's a lot of things that we're going to have to drink for at this event.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, I'm hoping that they do gameplay. I know there's a lot of back and forth about whether they're going to do it. I hope they do some gameplay, and I hope he just comes straight out and they just drop the 400 series or whatever they're going to call the origin ship on us right away and just start out flying out of Orison, catch a space whale on the way up to space. You could go crazy with it, but I do hope that there's a small gameplay.
You can come on this show anytime you want to, brother. 400 origin anytime. Feel free to come on anytime you want to. I like that. Whammer likes that too. Oh yeah, you can come on anytime. All right.
Flashing those tomatoes at me, Whammer.
Okay. Kelosal, what about you? Chris's opening. Any thoughts?
I mean, I would hope he would throw out a big, we're back, baby type deal, type of an intro. I mean, maybe he can go ahead and throw in a little clip about how COVID has helped his brand grow or gotten them close, you know what I'm saying? Because they had to find another way to go ahead and put it together and they were able to meet their, or at least able to attain certain goals throughout the whole entire process. So if they could spin that into a positive, I would, that would be fantastic. I'm looking for, I mean, other than gameplay, I'm looking for the creatures, man. Where are those bios? I'm looking for the creatures. I'm looking for the
opening. You give me the whole show.
If you can give me that at the beginning,
you want it at the beginning? Are you ready?
I'll be like, oh my God, I'm set. I mean, give me something.
I mean, like, he might say it, like maybe he won't show it, but he could say it, and then that'll bring the energy, you know?
I want to see gameplay of somebody on a whale. I want to see gameplay of somebody seeing it, flying into it, ramming into it, something.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll buy that for $1 because I would love to see, honestly, the first half of the show showing what they've done that they've talked about in the past, and then the second half of the show being the stuff that we don't know about. The stuff that we don't know about. That's what I would love to see. To Kelosal's point, it would be good to see the things that we know Fauna's been done. We know that some things that are on the roadmap that are completed. It would be great to see that in the first half, and then blow our minds in the second half with stuff that we ain't ready, that we don't even know about. That would really be my.
They're gonna show that thing. That little exosuit thing.
Yeah,
I can't remember. They're gonna bring that out, and everyone's just gonna go wild.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
To top it off, you have an 890 on the water.
Oh Lord, don't even. Oh, no, we aren't even. We aren't even. We aren't even.
Live up to their namesake.
We aren't even going there.
They got boat parameters. I mean.
All right, let's go to the next one. Life in the Verse. This year's biggest panel takes you on a guided tour of the current game verse. Join the development or the devs. Life in the Verse. Now, I think this might be a little bit deceiving because it talks about a guided tour of the current in-game verse. And I don't know if they're saying current in the sense of what we already have or current as for them, what they're getting ready to implement. So let me go to Tomato on this one first. Any thoughts about that particular title? That's got Dave Haddock, Todd Pappy, and Ian Leyland. Those are all big guys there. Any thoughts on that? Life in the Verse?
Yeah, this one confuses me, to be honest.
Yeah,
like you
me
said,
too.
can you expand it to read more?
That's it.
Actually, I guess that's just it.
That
Okay.
ain't nothing else to it. That's all that's on the page.
Yeah, this one honestly, they say the current. So I was thinking maybe they'll tour the system and talk about the things that they are doing to the systems that we're currently using. Going around to things like the cargo decks and maybe talking about the actual use for it. I don't know. That doesn't really make that much sense either, though. And a lot of people have also proposed that maybe it's the current. I think Morph might have said this is the current development branch.
This is what it says: join the developers to bring it all to life, to explore locations, systems, gameplay, and more. That's what the read more part was. Yeah.
I mean, if
and more.
with Todd Pappy, right? You're dealing with the PU, Persistent Universe. So, I mean, I would rather see something on Squadron 42. Let's see.
I don't think we're going to see Squadron 42.
I don't think it's going to happen there. Not when they call it the verse. I think the verse is always referencing the.
I know. I'm just saying. I'd rather for that title to be stricken out and see something on Squadron 42 than.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I think people are sleeping on this one though.
Yeah, you think so?
I think it'll be more interesting than we think.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. Because they got to kick it off. Right.
It's the biggest panel.
Yeah. Not to mention that. Abdi, what about you? What do you think about Life in the Verse?
What would be really interesting is to show like what we know about the verse, the caves, all that kind of stuff, but to see it in maybe a new light. Maybe this is talking about life that, like maybe there's going to be creatures, maybe there's going to be biomes that, this is where it's at right now, and things that we are already bringing to it. I'm assuming it'll be heavily produced, especially since it's kind of like the first talk after the intro. Okay. So it'll probably be like really beautiful vistas, and stuff like that. So I'm guessing this will be like this is the board gamer like background section where he can use this stuff for B-roll in the background. Okay. It's like it'll be pretty. And maybe give us appreciation for stuff that we look past already, maybe in the verse. Because I mean, it's just you come into the game as a new player, and everything is beautiful. And I think every now and then it's important to remember that, because it can kind of fade after a while when you remember the 30Ks and all that kind of stuff. So my idea is probably that this will bring all of us back to that, like, this game is pretty, and I'd be okay with that. That's totally cool with me, because I'm always in awe of the beauty of Star Citizen. So
I'm looking for points of interest. I'm looking for those in the game. I'm looking for those that deal with the lore. I know we have the Stanton system, but we have a lot of things dealing with in the Stanton system that we need to be investigating, be looking at. Maybe they bring back was it Tessa or what have you? But they're I mean, based off of what you're seeing here, explore locations. There's got to be a lot of that exploration in the game that we barely see right now. A lot of orgs are charting out systems. They're charting out planets. So we see at least a sense of what could happen. But I'm interested to see what type of perks they're going to put in the game, what type of exploration locations they're going to put in the game. Are they going to put extra, lore in the game, or are they going to put player-generated lore in the game as well? Yeah. These are the things I'm looking for.
One of the things that we talked about before that we saw in the past that they've been real quiet about now, we talked about that Boreal creature,
Boreal
Stalker. That's been completed for a few months. They showed us the homesteads, right? They were showing us props and all this stuff. We haven't heard anything about that recently. So for locations, I could see them starting to show us what NPC homesteads and buildings are going to look like. I could also start seeing them put in more, like you said, points of interest, like you said, Kelosal, in game, whether they be abandoned wrecks in planets or in space, things of that nature that they start incorporating in the next patch as well. So I agree earlier with Tomato said this needs to be a good kickoff, for the whole thing to kind of get folks interested in what's going to be coming up in 3.15. Let's go down to the next popular subject, which is ship talk. Let's start with Abdi on this one. In this year's presentation, Ship Talk, John Crew, Ben Curtis, and Paul Jones reveal new and upcoming ships. They delve into their journey through production and provide some much anticipated updates about a fan favorite vessel. Let me go back to the 2019, which was the last time we had the Ship Talk. 3 out of the 4 ships that they showed us are in game now. At that time, it was the Rock, it was the Talon, the Rock, the Talon, and what was the third ship? The Fighter, the Arrow, I think it was at the time. And then no, not the Arrow. It was the Rock, the Talon. Who remembers what the third thing was?
You're talking about the concepts at the ship talk?
Yeah.
It was the Raylan, I believe.
Was it the Raylan? Thank you. Yes, the Raylan was the other one. The one that we didn't get was the cargo ship that they talked about. And so that's
refining.
Was it refining or cargo?
Yeah, it was the small refining thing. The ship, I think.
Okay, whatever that smaller thing was. That's the only one we didn't get. So 3 out of 4 we got. Here they talk about basically the same thing, ship talk, same theme and everything. And also when you answer the question, your thoughts on that, what do you think the favorite ship will be? So Abdi, give me your thoughts.
I don't know. I feel like fan favorite ideas could be Banu Merchantman, you know. It's not like a ship that I have, but it is exciting to see ships that I feel like bring gameplay, or mean that aspects of gameplay are fixed. So that's the thing that I'm most excited for to see here. It would be really cool to see them talking about cargo in a way where it's like, you know what, we're looking to have that be something that is actually working or better. It'd be cool to see, refinery ships, to see what that actually looks like. Even just being able to like scoop up like gas in
Like
you're supposed to be able to do that so like being able to do that kind of stuff, it would be cool if they can talk about functionality that brings gameplay, and more than just bringing new ships that look cool, ships that bring that interesting gameplay factor.
Klaus, what about you?
I mean, obviously, it's the Argo MPUV. I mean,
got it hanging out there behind him.
MPUV for winning that one. I mean, but it could be. It could be a multitude of things. It could be the whole series. I would like to see something on the whole sea that's out there. I would hope that they give us some type of visuals on the Banu Merchantman. I mean, boy, it'd be fantastic if Brian Chambers can deliver that, because I think that's coming from his department over there in Frankfurt. But it'd be nice if that comes from their Boo on You Fast Card. But the Banu Merchantman would be fantastic. It'd be also nice if they threw things about the Orion. I think.
Yeah, when do they start work on that? Has that already been?
Oh, they've already had that modeled out in game for a while. Yeah, they changed the size a couple times, but they've had interior and exterior gray boxes.
Where is it at on the roadmap though? Because that's supposed to come out next year.
See, that's the problem. There are 8 ships that are unannounced on the board right now. That's a lot of ships. It's a lot of ships that they could show.
I think one more ship that I mean, Fast Clock, I'm with you, buddy. I wish the Endeavor. I wish, but I don't even see it in the next year. I do think that the Genesis Starliner, I'm hoping that is shown, because Jared keeps talking about it.
He keeps talking about it. I was just about to say.
So that's the ship that I purchased. I told Griff about that. I was going to get the ship because of reputation and blah, 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 blah. So I'm hoping that those ships, at least one of those ships, I got to be at least 1 for 4 on one of those ships.
Okay. Tomato?
Yeah, I'm picking from that group. I've got the initial 4 that I was thinking they might mention were the Orion, the Banu Merchantman, I'm just now drawing a blank, the Kraken, or the Polaris. I think those are all big fan favorites that I could see all kind of having a reason to be developed. I could also see them all having.
Can you spawn a ship on a Kraken?
You will be able.
I don't
to.
know, but that
You
is
will be
something
able
that
to.
they've.
Yes.
Yeah, they've.
If you
The
land
owner,
it
the
and the ship
owner
is in there.
can. I think the owner can.
Yeah.
I don't know about other people yet.
Something
I'm really
they
curious to see them start
recently-
talking about that because of that functionality. That's the kind of stuff
but they
that I'm
have.
like.
This year they've talked about the possibility of spawning ships inside of ships and how they're wrapping up efforts on that. So
That's gonna be cool.
it could maybe be a thing, and that would be huge if they were opening up the pyro system, because people are going to need ways to be able to transport and have ships that they can spawn over there. Also going to go ahead and say maybe the whole sea. And I know they've been talking about the whole sea a little bit, and I originally was shying away from this because I was like, well, the whole series is a whole series. It's not a fan favorite, but the whole sea specifically is like the one that they kind of focus on. And with cargo being such a big thing, I think first quarter of next year, maybe they'll also start to show us how the whole sea will actually function. Like, how are these arms going to get cargo loaded into them? The physicalized cargo, the cargo refactor, that's like a quarter away. It's 2 quarters away. So I think maybe they could fold that into the ship talk.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, my predictions are kind of along the same line. I think that the fan favorite will be the Banu Merchantman, because they talked about going back into reconcept on it. And there's a bit of urgency, I think, for the dynamic of trade being implemented if they start bringing in the whole, what's the word I'm looking for?
Cargo refactor?
The AI thing. No.
Oh,
the economy.
NPCs.
The quanta and stuff,
Oh.
right? So for traders, that would be a nice bonus for them to be able to get something like the Banu Merchantman in game. And plus, it is a favorite. I agree about your thoughts about the Orion Tomato, only because I guess pros and cons on it. The pro is that it would close out that big loop for ships that we have for the list if they did the Orion. And believe it or not, the Orion was predicted to come out at the tail end of 3.0 or right at 4.0, whatever it was. But that doesn't mean anything. But I'm just saying it was at one point. That and the Banu Merchantman were all kind of lined up together.
The Orion would require so much gameplay though to come in,
and that's the thing about it was I going to say first, but for a singular system the practicality is not there, to run an Orion. It needs to have some place to go, so I don't see the need. I agree with you about the Polaris though, because the Polaris is one that people have been crying about for years, and that would be a nice larger military ship to come into the game. We didn't talk about ships that we've seen, for example, like the Idris. We've seen that in game. Whether or not that they'll release that, there's the refining ship that people have talked about. The rumor about the Raft and the 400, whether those are legitimate or not. But all I know is that there are 8 ships unannounced, which means that there's a lot of flexibility for what they could introduce and show us. I agree about the Hull series, though. Hull C is the most used ship in Squadron 42, which is why it's got to get done. But the cargo piece is an issue, but they've gotten past that now. Supposedly they've figured it out. A few months back, they talked about they were just trying to figure out how to do the physicalized containers and cargo. But the fact that we have all these cargo stations now in the game that aren't being used, they're just basically these empty spaces, unlike the refinery, which is being used. You start getting those cargo platforms in use, this thing changes dramatically. So I'm hoping that they'll start implementing that. Yeah, go ahead, Klaus.
I do have to mention, I mean, we're not really done with Stanton, right? We have Aaron's Halo.
Right.
So I'm definitely interested. I mean, just, when you were talking about the Orion, that's a very big belt for the Orion to dive into. But I'm definitely interested if they could sneak in and show the Aaron's Halo either in Life in the Verse or even Space Talk. That would be great if they can just go and show us. I want to look at that gate and see where you have to go to traverse through between Microtech and back to Crusader.
That would,
which would be a good way to segue into Pyro, like to talk about, like, we have jump gates working in Stanton. They'll be released with 315. I shouldn't say that as if it is what they're saying, but like if they could kind of show it as a proof and concept that the tech is working within Stanton, that would be super cool, and kind of build out that whole, continue developing Stanton in a way that makes it feel full.
It would be. You're right. Okay. Gen 12 and multi-core Vulcan. We've been hearing about Vulcan and Gen 12 for a while. We delve into the nitty-gritty details of G12, the new renderer being developed for Star Citizen and Squadron 42, utilizing the Vulcan graphics API, with a particular focus on multi-CPU parallelism, as well as improved flexibility for quicker feature development. We'll look at why it was needed, its architecture, and how this aids performance. And we will give you an update on its progress. Tomato, starting out with you on this one. Vulcan and Gen 12. Any thoughts?
This is going to be a good one for everybody who says they're not fixing bugs
Thanks
enough.
for the follow.
Thanks, Chris.
Freaking burger. Just sneaking into my eardrums, like creeping me out. Yeah, this is going to be a big one for the people who keep talking about how performance is the most important thing. Granted, it's not necessarily going to be the fix that everybody wants.
Right.
But it's definitely going to help. I mean, they've said it multiple times. This is going to help a lot with our CPUs, the way that it runs the game and how it handles the threading and using the different cores. I think it'll be pretty dry, but it'll be full of information.
Okay. Interesting. Kelosal, any thoughts on the Vulkan Gen 12?
I mean, I'm not much of an expert, but I mean, it's nice to hear Jared finally say, you know, sing that Flash song, and he basically put the letter NO in front of it. So it's, I mean, I'm interested to see how this is going to affect the star map. We know it's going to affect the inventory system. We already see where to see that, or at least be able to see that around 315. But I'm interested to see now. Like I said, these are the tools that they're starting to implement in place, and we heard a while ago that it was 15% done. Now we're hearing that it could be finished, right? So we haven't heard a definite yet, but you know, like I said, from the previous video, it seems like they are on pace or they are done. Okay. So I'm interested to see how much of a change this is going to bring to the game in terms of its expedition, in terms of its gameplay, and I'm definitely looking for improvement on that star map.
Okay. Abdi.
I think that this is an important step to bringing more people into the verse, because my number one issue that I have with my friends is that we built computers back in 2010, because that's when we were in college, and like that's when we were, you know, playing games as much as we could. We're older now; it's harder to get computer components and everything like that. So our systems used to be like Frankenstein's monsters, you know, where we have some parts that are running faster than others and things like that. But if they could get it so that the game runs really well on most people's computers without having to do, you know, look up an optimization guide or something like that. If this actually leads to being able to say, hey, jump in the game, oh, you only have like this CPU, that's totally cool. Let's do it anyway, we can still play. I think that would be super cool. And if they could demonstrate that in some way, I don't know how, but yeah, that would be, this is important tech to that, and to bringing more people into the verse, because you shouldn't have to have a 3080 Ti to play this game. You know, you shouldn't have to do that in order to go to Orison and not feel like you're playing a PowerPoint show.
Well, I will say this: I'm hoping that two things come out of this. Performance, obvious, always a good thing to get, but being able to add more players into the game. We do know that CIG has done testing in the past where they've had 100 people in a server before, but creating the stability and being able to not only have it stable, but to be able to have all the things that are required, the inventory, all of that. That's where the juggling comes in, right? They can put 100 people in, but guess what's going to happen when it comes to inventory and a whole bunch of other things in the game? It's just not going to happen. So hopefully this is a step in that direction so that we can get, I would love to see the servers jump. Of course, we would have as many people as possible, but even to jump to 100 people or 500 people to me would be great in this game. But, you know, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully that'll be one of the topics that they'll cover.
I mean, that's even 100 people would be nice. And this combined with server meshing is holding back a lot. I hope these two things, I don't like to put emphasis on these things like iCache persistence, Gen 12 server meshing. I hate to make it like build them up at all, but I do really hope that these three things can make a big difference for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay, Crafting Worlds, planetary tools and tech, a big picture look at some of the new Planet Tech features being developed to help further bring Star Citizen to life. I'm going to go first on this one, and you guys can give me your feedback. Did I ask everybody about that last question? I did, right? Everybody did get to ask the last one, right? Oh, yeah, about Vulkan. Okay, cool. I'm zoning out here. This one, I tell you, sometimes I think this one gets overlooked a little bit, because when we think about tools, there's, you know, we kind of keep hearing about tools for years and years with these folk. But I think I was most impressed when they did the piece on weather. You guys remember a few years ago when they got into the details about how they were creating weather? I mean, literally like with weather zones and the height maps and all that stuff. I mean, you know, there's sometimes things you see in Star Citizen that are really cool on the surface. and then they take you even deeper in the vision, right? It's like, it's not just that you're going to have this weather that pops up randomly, but it's actually freaking popping up because the temperature changed in that area. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't think about the game from that perspective. And so a lot of times it's very easy to miss that. We get caught up in the graphics, but we don't realize those graphics are not just some random roll of the dice. They actually happened because nighttime fell and the temperature dropped, or something else happened in the game that caused that to happen. For some people, that's too much. But for me, I look forward to that type of stuff, that the game is actually built that way. Tomato, let me start with you on that one. Crafting worlds, planetary tools, and tech. Any thought?
These people are some of the most interesting to me. And I really, really enjoy the systems of this game, the way that reputation, quantum, and the mission system are going to interact with each other blow my mind. I love that. But the way that they build planets in this game is, I think, something that is so clearly unmatched in the rest of the industry. And the way they think about it, the way that they're doing it, the systemic way of building these humidity and temperature maps. And I mean, talking about the possibility of even seasons changing based on the orbits and stuff is just, it's incredibly interesting. And the fact that the Planet Tech team feels like it's the first team that actually took all of their tools and got it to V1, like ready to launch into a real game kind of status. And since then, it's been a year and they've just been blowing that away. I did a video on it a couple weeks ago, and they've introduced to us rivers, the possibility of lava, basins, canyons, rock arches, fauna, settlements, NPCs on the ground. Like, all these things can go on planets. And this team's only been working for like 5 years, 6 years. And now they got Montreal. So I'm super excited to see what they talk about here, because I think this is one of the teams that is excelling the most in terms of pushing the bar compared to all the other teams. And I don't think people are going to be, a lot of people for some reason aren't that interested in this. I don't think people are going to be disappointed if they watch it.
Okay. Abdi, what about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to just more information about biomes, more information about the varied aspect of what a star system should look like. Because right now we have kind of a samey thing going on. Lots of rocky, planets. I mean, Hurston is cool because it's junky and you can see cacti and stuff like that if you look closely. You're right. But like, I mean, I think all of us are looking forward to seeing a Kashyyyk style planet, like seeing jungle planets, or true sand planets or something like that, where it's just like true deserts with dust storms and stuff like that. And I'm really curious to see how they're pushing it, because I know that they are, and I'm just not exactly sure. Like the snow stuff that they have going on is super cool, like the way that it affects your armor and all of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're pushing it in other directions, not just the ice and snow and rocky and all that kind of stuff, but seeing trees and forests, because that all has to do with like how you're flying through the system. Like let's say you got these big jungle trees or something, and you're weaving your M50 or something like that through all of them. That could be dope stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I'm hoping for.
Okay. Kelosal?
I mean, those are all spot on point in terms of what Abdi is saying. I'm interested in seeing all those. We saw a video a while ago with them talking about the water tech. We saw them talk about trying to implement things like maybe lava. Hopefully we see that when we see pyro. Hopefully, if we do see pyro in here. I guess on the flip side of it, I'm looking for more of, when I think of tech, I'm glad Turbulent. Is it Turbulent that's over there in Canada, I believe? I'm interested in seeing what they're doing. They seem to be pretty excited about the work that they're doing, and pretty much appreciative of what CSG is allowing them to do. I'm interested in seeing, on the flip side, Griffin, I don't know if it has any relations to what is talked about right now, is the tech that's also in the ship to detect all the biomes and stuff that we're going to see in game. I'm looking for that avatar type We're talking about the Disney movie Avatar. I'm looking for that type of technology that we have today. We already saw some videos, especially dealing with the. I'm giving you some examples. The constellation Andromeda. You saw those videos of those MFD screens with different types of bars and different types of colors and stuff like that. I'm looking for that type of stuff. I'm looking for 3D types of mapping that's going to help us determine what type of biome the system is, what type of fruits, what type of vegetation is going to be in there. I'm looking for all of that type of stuff that goes along with the type of planet tech. So we're going to get the planet tech, which we already see right now in a lot of ways, and we'll get deeper with the lore with that and the development of the game. But I'm looking for that type of nerdy geek tech technology that's also going to take us to the next level, saying, wow, these people are really, really, really impressing us, not only just on the development of the planet side, but the tech that's also used to observe it.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife is an ornithologist, so she's had to use programs like ArcMap GIS. And if you are in that field, you know how terrible that program can be. But like the idea of looking at a geographic map of a location, like with altitude and all of that, and seeing how that can bring in like different types of animals depending on, you know, what kind of biome they're in, based on all that just, I cannot wait till that is a serious part of this game.
It will be great. I'm surprised, Kelosal, you didn't mention what we've been talking about for a while. And those of you who have played Icarus will know where I'm going with this. Have you played it, Abdi? Have you played Icarus?
I've only watched all of you play it.
Oh, okay.
So join the Discord and you can see some awesome Icarus content.
Tomato, have you played it?
No, I have not.
One of the cool things that Icarus has going for it is its quote unquote dynamic weather. Now, mind you, it is not as detailed as Star Citizen's trying to go. It's not about temperature changes and all this other stuff, but they do have what they call weather events. And basically, you'll be out minding your business doing something. Then all of a sudden, you get an alert on the screen telling you that there is a weather front coming in. Kelosal will tell you these weather fronts are no joke. When they come in, I don't care what you're doing, you drop it and you go somewhere. That's how serious it is, especially if it's one of the flash alerts, because you only get a couple of minutes before you have to find shelter. Lightning strikes. Serious lightning strikes that possibly sometimes if they hit your house catches fire and you're trying to put your house out while this storm is going on, or it strikes the forest that's next to you and the forest starts to burn and it moves from tree to tree and you're like, oh God, please let this thing get put out before it gets to me. Things such as if you have a campfire going outside, if a rainstorm comes in, it puts out the campfire. I mean, it will be great to see dynamic weather. Whether they do violent storms, you know, we saw it a few years ago with the sandworm when the sandstorm came in. We visually have it, but we don't have all of the physical effects that would happen to us. In the winter biomes, you do get the cold, you do get the little struggling to walk a little bit. But I mean, I would love to see even more, like you guys have been out there before at night on a moon when the temperature drops below the 200 minus Celsius. You know, I mean, that all of that weather dynamic, tornadoes, I would love to see all that stuff start to become a factor in the game. And we've been having fun with it in Icarus, and we're always saying, boy, we hope Star Citizen, but we know that Chris pays attention to all that stuff, whether it's Valheim, Icarus. And so I'm sure he's going to glean from those things. And also the one thing that's good about Chris, George Lucas was like this too, not to make that big of a comparison, but they take people who are good and get their ideas and then push them to think even beyond that. So hopefully what Chris and them come up with is even bigger than the stuff that we've seen that's out there right now. So I'm hoping that's what happens with that.
Yeah. If you want
the thing that I like.
Oh, go ahead. I was just basically saying, if you want to see somebody burn down a house, call Colossus.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you the story real quick. Kelosal had just built this really cool, he had started working on this house, right? And we didn't know that stuff was really dynamic in the game. We didn't know completely that everything was dynamic. So when the storm was coming in, something was happening. Kelosal happened to run too close to the campfire. And when he ran through it in the game, like a lot of games, he caught fire. Well, he did, but then his house wasn't finished. He proceeded to run through the house to the other side and set the floor on fire as he was running through the house. So then the whole house caught fire. And he didn't even realize that. We didn't even know he had set the house on fire because his feet were on fire. So, you know, it would be really cool to see stuff like that.
Colossal, you on fire. You on fire, go in the water. So I just ran straight into the water and ran through the house. That's how the house caught on fire.
Burnt the house up completely. Okay.
And here's the thing, though. When you talk
gameplay.
about that, you're talking about systemic issues, like systemic development, but you're also talking about gameplay.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that would be so cool to see during this kind of thing, where like systemic development leads to interesting gameplay. And that's, man, that I can't wait.
That is good stuff.
And the destructible environments is something that they've been working on and doing.
Oh yeah,
bending foliage as you walk through it, destructible plants,
That's a
fire propagation. So
we talked about this last week when we were talking about salvage and stuff, and maybe you guys can give some quick thoughts, and we'll try to make it quick because I do want to get on this next subject because I know this is going to take some time. You talked about destructible. How destructible is destructible? We talked about this with the panel last week. And some people said that we kind of felt that there needs to be like a happy medium because there can't be just a complete obliteration, you know what I mean, of an NPC village. And at the same time, maybe it's taken to the point of a ruin, and then they incorporate the whole Quanta NPC thing in so that they build it back slowly or something like that. But what are your thoughts about that when it comes to destruction in Star Citizen? Do you think that they should, you know, because I'm thinking about how some games are fully destructible, you know, but I don't know if should Star Citizen be at that level. Not to mention, God, Detective would probably take to do it. Colossal says, he likes to see everything. You like to see the world. You're a Sith. You like seeing the world burn anyway.
I'm a Sith. It should be total and utter destruction. I mean, but that's why you have the Pioneer. That's why you have the Pioneer. Bring the Pioneer game and rebuild your establishment. But yes, I want to see the A2 blow the bejesus out of an entire base and everybody's face. You know how it was when I ran through that house, Griff? It was like complete and utter.
Yeah, you learned a lesson. Like, we all learned a lesson. Yeah, we all learned a lesson. Absolutely.
And it was devastating when I did it the second time.
Yeah, right.
I was like, everybody's going to throw me out. They're going to throw me out. So, yes, I want to see utter destruction. And I want to see.
Colossal was eating a lot of humble pie, y'all. You don't know. He was eating a lot of and nobody could scream at him because he built the house. So you couldn't really scream at him. You know what I mean? Because he built the house, you know.
Just had to watch on in silence.
Everybody's like, it's okay, Colossal. It's okay. Gritting their teeth, you know. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
I love that.
Yeah,
it's so fun though, because when I think of destruction, it reminds me back in the day when, like, you remember Red Faction, the game. Red Faction, and then also Battlefield Bad Company 2, where that introduced destruction into the Battlefield series in a way where it really felt really interesting to see a house come down after it just got peppered with tank rounds or something like that. And the interesting thing, especially going back to Red Faction, is seeing how it was progressive, because I feel like there were times where they were like, oh right, we'll add a little bit of destruction and then more and then like complete, where like people were building caves into the side of rock faces just by using rocket launchers and stuff like that. And like, that's interesting stuff.
It is.
I want to see explosions.
By the way, excuse me. Thank you, all of you all who just did the host for me. Sorry if host isn't popping up in my browser, but I hear you guys chiming away. Thank you all so much for the hosts. We appreciate that. Yeah. You said you want what, Colossal?
Explosions, Griff.
Oh, well, not to be, we won't even get on ISC last week because I was smiling my face off when I saw that bomb drop off that A2 last week. I was really happy about that. Thank you, Zulu Group. Okay, let's get into this next one. Server meshing and the state of
Wait, did we skip over space on that last one?
Did I? I'm sorry. Did I miss you, space? No, he commented.
I don't think I really...
Didn't you? On this one? Planetary, you didn't talk about tools?
I'm talking about the destruction stuff. My bad.
Oh, no, yeah. No, we get on a whole other subject on that. He was the one who brought it up. He's the one who brought it up. Okay. Server meshing and state of persistence. Discover the transformative technologies of server meshing and persistent streaming. A deep dive into the technical architecture of these key core initiatives that will enable a truly massive, scalable, and persistent world. Colossal, starting out with you on this one. Server meshing, state of persistence. Are we there? That's the question. Are we there?
Oh, are we there? Okay, I was thinking that.
I mean, are we going to hear? That's okay. It pops in and out, Tomato. You're good. So, I mean, I guess my question is, are we going to hear we've achieved it? Or is this going to be like We're 90%, we're 80%. What do you think this is going to happen? I'm talking about in the sense of not right now. I'm saying, are they going to announce that they have that's one of the hurdles? You know, we talked about iCache being a hurdle. Server meshing's always been known to be a hurdle. Do you think they're going to say that we've kind of got it locked down?
No.
Okay.
Not in its current state. I mean, it'd be wonderful.
I didn't say its current state. I didn't say its current state. I'm saying, are they going to announce next week that we have beat the monster finally?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it'd be great if they did.
Okay.
I don't have any faith that they would.
Okay.
I usually don't see that. Usually in any game development, as it is, whether it be an alpha or even early beta. I mean, it would take beta for you to sit there and recognize that part. But if a game's in an alpha development, I haven't seen any developer even come out and say, "Hey, we have it set up. It's an alpha. Go play it."
Okay.
You know, so I don't know.
Here's the question. Nice. Here's the question for you: are we anywhere near being at beta?
No.
Okay. Because you brought up beta. I'm just curious. Are we near beta? So you think beta is near?
Maybe a year and a half away, maybe a year away. I would say less. I would say less than a year.
Okay.
But I think we had those predictions in several shows back. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the predictions, I guess.
Okay. Let me go to Tomato. Let me throw that at you. Server meshing. Any thoughts on it? And I'll throw the same question to you too. Are we near beta?
No, not even close.
Okay.
No, in my opinion, no. I don't think they'll have. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I've been talking to a couple people there, and it's been all optimism. Every time I've asked anything about server meshing or anything that has to do with it, I've talked to a couple people about some of the tech that was being worked on before they were brought into Star Citizen and how that's being used in the game, and you know, they're being brought on because of that. And everything that they've talked about in terms of how it's being applied sounds positive, sounds good, and they sound excited. But everybody in the last 3 months has been like, wait for CitizenCon. Wait for the talk at CitizenCon. You're going to get the info that you need at CitizenCon. So I don't know what they're going to tell us, but I do think that it should be at least a good roadmap towards when we can be expecting, or what they need to do for us to be able to expect it. I wouldn't go into it expecting good, like particularly good news, like, oh, we got it working. Oh, this is great. I hope they found a way to display it to us in some way. I've been talking to some people, and it sounds like that would be hard to do. But it would be nice if they could. Otherwise, I still think it's a little while out, probably 3 quarters.
Okay. Abdi?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like maybe looking at the ships that would help server meshing be, you know, or would make sense to come alongside server meshing would be a good way of seeing kind of where we're at. And, you know, like big ships like the Orion, stuff like that, not really on the roadmap until next year. Like I don't remember exactly what quarter, but I think like mid next year or something like that. So I would expect that to come along with having more people in a server, because like, what are you going to do? Have like 40 people in your Orion or something like that, and that's the whole server. So yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good way of judging. But at the same time, the thing, there's so many assumptions that I have about server meshing. What I'm really looking forward to is having those assumptions cleared up, because people talk about server meshing in a way where it's like it's going to fix the game. Yeah. And I don't know if that's the case. That's an assumption, you know, like, and maybe it's a good assumption, maybe it's an educated assumption, but hearing it from them would be really nice. Like we've seen that, you know, when testing server meshing, you know, these states work better or something like that. You know, hearing that from them would be really great. Or maybe it's just that like other systems can come online in a better way with server meshing. Either way, hearing it straight from them would be better, because I have a feeling that that's the kind of stuff that they might be able to clear up on a panel like this. Okay.
Well, here's my 2 cents, and it's not going to be my prediction, but it will be. I'm leaning toward the fact that they decided to highlight this topic says something, because they don't have to. The fact that they're making a specific session about server meshing, I don't think, because, you know, this isn't about educating us as much as it is about where are we. And so I'm kind of hoping that this is like we know what we need to do now, you know, and that we're close to having it done, and that and that they may even say, just if you remember when Tony Z did his piece, he said we are going to start implementing iCache. We're going to start bringing it in the next patch, and they have started doing that. I'm hoping that that's what we're going to hear about server meshing. That, you know,
I've seen some weird
1.
stuff though, like Dark Knight. I think he's in chat, maybe not. But the other day he was playing with Soul Citizens during a Xeno threat, and the player count showed like 91 people or something crazy like that. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they've been, you know, sneakily testing stuff out. Like seeing that screenshot from him, I was like blown away, because I was like, yeah, they really are just like testing this thing out there, you know.
And there's another reason why there's
blasphemy, black intellect, blasphemy.
There's another thing too that's a factor with server meshing, and this is something that is crucial for Pyro to come in. They really need to get server meshing together, because they need to be able to do that handshaking and changing off stuff from locations, because they can't keep it on this structure that they've had now and for it to have good performance. So they've got to be able to do the handoffs of locations and data. And without server meshing, to even think about putting Pyro in would just be crazy. So to me, if Pyro becomes a factor for next year, I think we're going to see Pyro this week. We're going to, you know, I mean, obviously they can show it to us because it's not a big deal to show it to us. But I think for us to enter into it, if it's within the next year, then server meshing has got to accompany that. Without it, I think I think Pyro's just not a happening thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah,
I was just reading what Black Intellect said. He said, "Can I get a jump gate and a loading screen?"
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Rage.
No, he didn't.
He said it. He said it.
We're almost at the end of this. The Sounds of Space. The mad minds behind Soundscapes of Star Citizen take you on a guided tour of the latest developments and innovative new audio tech that truly brings the verse to life. Abdi, let's start with you on this one. Sounds of Space. What are your thoughts about that? Is this one of those ones you care about, or is this kind of like one of those like, I'll go make my lunch right now while this is going on?
No, man, like no joke. This has been a thing in the Star Citizen community for a long time. I can't say this with any certainty, but if this is what I hope it is, it would be cool if they were talking about have you seen those YouTube videos where people like have taken the sound in Star Citizen and have like remodulated it to sound like, oh, this is what it would actually sound like if you were in a cockpit in space? Have you seen those? Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know if this is new audio tech they're working on, like a little thing you can go into the settings and do like you know, space sounds or something like that. I don't know. I'm not an audio engineer, but like I have a feeling like either they'll talk about how they do what they do already, or maybe they're talking about adding some options in so that people that are really have been clamoring for like, you know, I want to hear like the muffled, you know, like I don't know, that wasn't me beatboxing, but
I thought it was pretty good.
Hey, if you want me to beatbox, I can beatbox, but like that wasn't it. But like yeah, I'd be super excited to see if that was a thing, because they're talking about new audio tech. So I don't know, it could just be like, and like, you know, the space whale in Orison going I don't know.
Okay,
I love these sounds.
Yeah.
They should just use these for the game.
This is actually. I'm going to send this to CIG and see if I can get a job as the space whale.
The credits. The space whale.
Colossal. Anything about you, Colossal, on Sounds of Space? This one got your attention?
I mean, we're still waiting on sonic booms. I mean, I'm in Florida, and I've heard plenty of sonic booms coming from the space shuttles coming back into coming back to land from space. So I think they did say that they were not able to produce that, or were not going to produce that. I don't know. I can't remember, but there was something on that in terms of sonic booms. I am interested. I mean, maybe they could call NASA. I hope they've gotten in contact with NASA or even Russia or China. It doesn't matter. And had some, you know, examples or some samples of some sounds. I know they produced their own. We saw several videos of them producing sounds and things like that, but hopefully they've got an inside scoop or how it actually sounds of opening a cockpit or even an air dock, or things like that. I'm interested in that. I'm still waiting on the red alerts. Still waiting on those.
Yeah.
That'll be fantastic if we can get that, because I've driven the Carrack, and if you haven't seen the interior of a Carrack when it's red alert, guys, and you see all the mist, it is amazing.
Yeah.
So still waiting on those types of sounds as well. So
okay.
Anyway.
Tomato?
I am hoping for a couple different things. What Abdi was talking about with the ability for them to simulate sound, I would love for them to see that. There's a lore explanation. Do you guys know about the lore explanation for why we hear sound in space in Star Citizen?
No.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
No. If
I don't know if I'm right, so I think I'm just making it up. I have no idea.
Well, they've talked about how the ships and the suits can simulate the sound and allow you to still hear these things even though you wouldn't, which, it's like, it's an explanation for something that it's like it should be a game. Nobody wants to like get kicked out of their ship and be floating around in space and just not hear anything. It's cool, but you're missing out on everything. So I think it's a cool idea. I would love to see how they're working on implementing the idea that when that power or that electricity gets knocked out in that ship or those suits, how you start to lose that simulation. And we do start to hear what you're talking about, Abdi, because I think that'd be cool for them to maybe start touching on that. That's super extra. That's polish, but I'm still trying to figure out like, what's the audio team going to talk about? Because they've talked about implementation tools. They've talked about the industry standard WISE tools. They talked about their own process of recording and stuff like that. So maybe they're just starting to talk a bit more about how they're applying these sound designs to newer scenarios, such as maybe the new quantum engine noises that they're going to be working on, or spacescaping and what they might do in noises that are in these clouds and in these places like the coil. I don't know.
You just went where I was going to go. I'm looking more for this to be about sound design, and the new air. Like, for example, and Kelosal touched on this a little bit. Like, you guys remember how, like, on the in Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon, when they were approaching their destination, there would be an alarm that would go off. When Han was sitting in the back with the chessboard, he would hear this little chime go off that would say, we're about to come out of quantum. I like the fact that right now, when we're in quantum and you're 500,000 kilometers out or whatever, you can hear a shift in the quantum drive, right? But I would love to hear something else on the ship that says, an announcement that says, reaching destination in 2 minutes, something like that. Those little quality of life things. Kelosal mentioned about, like, when you have an alarm, the alert goes off on the ship, on the quantums. Here's something that's going off as the alarm, an alarm that's chiming, something, because we've got the visual cues. But I also love those things that happen that have to do with sound that trigger you just as much as if you were looking at a panel. So I'm hoping that some of the sounds that we start to hear more are more in line, particularly when we're flying on ships, that give us those audio cues that go along with visual cues as well. But I'm sure it'll be a lot more than that. So I think it'll be an interesting session. All right, 2 more to go.
I think so too.
Yep. Systemic gameplay of Stream of Thought. Now, this is one I know a lot of people will be looking forward to. Tony Zervik leads a wide-ranging discussion with Rob Reininger, Ben Dorsey, and Luke Presley about upcoming features like selling used items, local inventory, the convergence of the reputation and mission systems, why physicalized cargo is so important, the next couple of dynamic events, and more. Tony will also give an update on how efforts to integrate the first few bits of quantum simulation into the game are proceeding. Sorry about that was cut off. Okie dokie. Let me start off with Tomato first on this one. What you got, any thoughts about Tony's session?
To be honest, this is the panel that gets me excited for that first one, because if the fact that they're saying that other one is bigger than this means that that must be a very exciting panel, because this one sounds super interesting. I mean, they touched on a lot of topics there that people have been waiting for a long time. Selling stuff is huge. That's huge, especially with loot coming in. Local inventory, that makes sense. The convergence of the reputation and mission systems, not something I was honestly expecting. I am really excited for that. Like, that's something that I've been hoping they would go into more depth about. I tried to do a video on it earlier this year and found myself struggling to find good research materials. I am excited to hear about more about how they're going to work the mission system, reputation system, the gating, the rewarding, and all that kind of stuff in together. That's exciting. Finally, Quantum. We've seen it twice now in the Hex interface. I do hope that when they bring Quantum into CitizenCon this time, they give it to us in a more tangible way that we can actually grip and feel. We saw that with the video this summer, kind of. There was some back and forth there, but I do hope they find a way to better show us it working on a broad scale as opposed to just with one person flying around.
Okay.
But this is going to be the amount of stuff that they could get into with this panel, besides what they've just listed there, with the names that they're bringing in, Rob and Tony together is already huge. And I think there's who else was on there? It was
Ben Dorsey and Luke Presley and Luke Presley
and Luke Every single one of those names are like leaders.
Yep.
Like full on leading their own team. So the amount of information that could come out of this talk is huge. And I hope they don't do too much talking. I said that in the video. I hope they show more than they talk. But if they do talk, I hope it's interesting stuff.
Okay. Abdi?
Yeah, I have a feeling that I've seen it with Tony Z in other CitizenCon presentations. Basically, Tony Z talks while someone else is showing some slides or showing some gameplay or showing a demo of how the persistent universe in Quanta works and stuff like that. So really interested. I feel like this might be some heady content. And that's okay. I think that's great, actually. That's what we need. Anytime a Quanta video comes out, I feel like people go crazy for a reason, because it's talking about the gameplay that we really want. And that's what I'm hoping for here. I'm hoping that it's expanded upon how, maybe I think they've talked about this recently too, just having cargo missions increase your reputations with different orgs, actual in-game companies and stuff like that. Or seeing how all of this brings the game more to life and gives you a reason to want to do these things instead of just them being kind of separate, siloed aspects of gameplay. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little bit scared because I know that they've started bringing Quanta in some parts of the verse. I don't know how well that's been going. I don't know. I mean, cargo doesn't seem to be any better.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they did it when they were doing stuff with Xeno and stuff. I could be wrong, but I think that's where they were testing it at. Not necessarily.
If they were testing it just with being able to sell stuff in Xeno, that worked. It worked, and it worked a lot better than it did the first go around with Xeno Threat. So that would be awesome to hear that that's what their final findings were. So I'm just super curious.
Jade says here that she had security pursue her all the way down to New Babbage, which might be another effect with the AI. And I remember at one point, I don't know if any of y'all ever had, did y'all ever have security stop you in atmosphere before?
Yeah, it actually was kind of...
That was kind of freaky, really? Out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere.
What the heck? Really? Were they going to do this to me in game?
I've had security, I think they came up to us while we were mining on the surface.
Really? Wow.
While you were mining?
Wow.
Or no, it might have been on a planet. It might have been Hurston. But yeah, we were down on the surface, and there was a security ship that was flying around. It was weird. Yeah.
You see them out there. You definitely see them in Daymar. They may come at you and things like that. But there has been some instances of when they were doing that Quanta did come in. I know it blew up Melvillus. It blew him up. And then it moved from there to the ship moved from there to it was you could jump on a bounty and you could see it, and it wasn't a player because it had an NPC name. And it jumped from Crusader to New Babbage. And we were trying. I remember picking up the mission, and I was trying to track it down, and it would go black at one point in terms of being in a black space. And then it would come up into another location. So it was available a couple times. I don't know. I don't think it's available now. But it's interesting to see them have that later on.
What about this session? What do you think, Kelosal?
I mean, as far as systematic gameplay or what have you, I mean, this is what's going to bring stability to the game in terms of longevity. But you got to have balance. You got to have better. I'm interested to see what type of analytics, other than quanta and quanta, that they use to go ahead and help stabilize the gameplay in terms of balancing it. I mean, you got to have good crafting. You got to have good trading routes. You got to have exploitable trading routes. You got to have exploration. You got to have points of interest. I'm interested to see what type of data they can bring in, other than in addition to what Tony Zervik was talking about, that could help bring the longevity of the game. If you don't have systematic gameplay at least close to being perfected, you're not going to have a game that's going to be around for a hot minute. And you see that with World of Warcraft. You see that, I mean, it's been out for a long time because they have that, and you see that with other MMOs. You can say you see that with Eve. You can say you see that you saw that with EverQuest. So when you have these I'm interested definitely on types of what type of systematic ideas that they have, analytics that they're using for that.
Okay. All right, there's 4 more questions, actually 5 more questions for the panel. I'm not going to drag out all these questions. I am going to try to make these next 3 questions very, very quick. And by the way, the last area of that was the closing of the convention. And we talked about this earlier. Chris closes us out at the end. I'm not going to get on a big spin on that. But usually when we get to the end of the show, that's kind of like the big wrap up of what it is CIG has been working on. And usually there's some announcements that take place at that point too, whether they decide to tell us that there's something's coming out in a patch or whatever. So I want to just kind of get past that and hit on these questions, because I really want to get some feedback from the panelists on this. What was the best thing that you guys saw at any of the CitizenCons? So Abdi, I'll start with you first. What was the best thing? I mean, this is going to be just kind of real encapsulated, but what was the best thing you remember seeing at CitizenCon?
I mean, if I'm right, that People to Planet was at a CitizenCon originally. Like, legit, that got me into the game. So I don't know if I can, I mean, I'm sure it can be topped, but it inspired me in a way that no video game, like, I love Mass Effect, I love all these space games, but it inspired me in a way that no game has inspired me. So I think I have to pick that. Okay.
Kelosal, what about you?
The Kraken. I mean, both the video and the actual model.
So model, yeah.
Over there at CitizenCon in 2018. So yeah, the Kraken.
Okay. Tomato.
I think it's probably the 2016 demo. Still, for me, captures a large part of what I want to do. I don't really care about the combat missions or anything like that, but just getting to go onto a planet that feels, I mean, that planet, Lear, what they did with the planet in that demo, it still feels unlike other planets in the game. It felt really, really good. I still watch that video and I'm like, man, I want this. But I think that demo really did it for me. Just the combination of the narrative away of it, how it played out, the different forms of transportation, the ways that you had this long progression that you could see the whole way. You know, you got to the end and you could see all the way back to where you came from. It just showed a lot of what this game had to offer in a really cool way. And I hope they can do that with another gameplay demo, because I'd love to get that feeling about something up to date.
Okay. Abdi, gonna ask you the hard question now. What's the worst thing that you've seen about CitizenCon or heard about CitizenCon? I'm sorry. Worst thing that I didn't give you my best. I'm sorry. My best was when we went. They at 2018. And I don't know about how they did in 2019, but in 2018, and Kelosal was there for this. They started incorporating lore dynamics into the convention. So they actually had recruitment stations for all the ship manufacturers with hired actors who had scripts that when you walked up to them, they worked for Aegis Dynamics or they worked for Origin Systems, and they had uniforms that matched the companies. They had all the goodies and giveaways. If you wanted your keychain from Origin or your USB thing, they had all that stuff. You could ask them questions about, what's it like to work for Origin? And they could actually talk to you like they were an employee of Origin. I mean, it was really, really cool. Some people might say, they're spending our money on that. But it brought the, what's the word, Whammer? He brought it.
Immersion.
That's right. Brought the immersion to the convention. Okay. And it was really, really, really cool. Okay. So I love the fact that they did that. The other thing that was very cool was they made these, Kelosal mentioned it, at that year they did I don't know what the scale was, but they did a model of the Kraken. But outside, they did a 3/4 model of the Yellow Jacket, the bike. And people were able to get on this thing and take photos. There was a line for it. But I would love that each year, I would love for them to do that. Come back the next year, there's a tumbrel. Next year, you come back, there's a tank. I mean, these physical items that they could have, and you could go. That would be just so cool to me if they do that. So that's
it's like Griff. Don't forget food. Didn't they have Big Benny's?
Oh, the Big Benny's food was there. Yeah, and they did that in 2019 too. They had a Big Benny. So my point is, that was the best things for me when they started doing that stuff that moved into, from game to real life at the convention. That was really great. Okay, Abdi, what's the worst? Abdi, what's the worst stuff that you've heard or seen?
The stuff that I've seen is just like when a roadmap is presented and it's like, oh, so excited for this roadmap item to get hit this year. And maybe this isn't a fair thing to bring up, but just like knowing, like, I don't know, man, you see the roadmap and you're like, that sounds too optimistic.
Okay.
That kind of stuff that, like, it kind of takes like, I don't care if you tell me it's going to take a little bit longer. Just,
but
just
if they
tell
missed
me,
the
tell me
deadline,
accurate.
you're saying if they presented at CitizenCon and it doesn't pop up, then that's kind of it sucks, is what you're saying.
It's a little deflating to me.
Yeah. Okay. That's legit. Kelosal, what about you? Worst thing from CitizenCons?
The worst thing from CitizenCons?
Yes.
I would have to go back to 2015.
You mean 16?
Was that the one?
Or 15? Which one?
Was that the one that didn't show Squadron 42?
That was 16. Yeah, 16.
That was 16. Yeah, that one. That was
everybody was waiting for the vertical slice that year, and you got all the way to LA to find out. Well,
yeah. I'm sorry I had to choose the worst CitizenCon, but yeah, that one right there is
okay. Tomato, he's on his head. What about you, Tomato? What's the worst?
That's what sucks, man. I just said like 16 was the thing that got me.
Right.
But the post showed roadmap in 2016 makes me want to freaking crush my head in a toilet seat. Like, it's seriously the worst. Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I get optimism. I do. But it was like salvage in 3.2, farming in 3.3.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm talking about, man. It's so deflating. It's so deflating.
Yeah.
And that was after the scope had changed. Now I'm not getting on their case. I'm not holding that against them at this point. But just that was the worst moment for me. And every time, I mean, I go back and I watch these streams a lot. They are cheesy. They are cringy. They are embarrassing. But they're also CitizenCon and they're amazing, and that's what makes them special. But that roadmap, that hurts. Oh my gosh.
Fair enough. Okay. The DreamCon. If there was something that you would like to see at CitizenCon when you go, say, yeah, this is definitely, man, this is the convention to go to. It's worth me spending this money to go all the way to the UK. Abdi, what would be something you would love to see at a DreamCon? This item, if they did this would be like, oh man, the con would be so cool.
Maybe okay. I two really quick things. I would love to see like an actual area where you can play in a persistent universe, and they just have like 100 networked computers or something like that, and you are all in the same place together. That would be so dope. Where it's like you want, like, we got server mesher working, and you can play it right now. This is happening live. Like that would be dope. That would be so cool. But the second thing, this is a little cheesy, but it'd be kind of dope to see all of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like I like to just see people in person. You know, like you know,
Oh, that's a terrible heart.
That's cool.
But like just like seeing the people, like that would be my dream CitizenCon, because like it's so fun to interact with y'all on Discord and all that kind of stuff. But to meet people in person would just be, man, that'd be dope.
I agree.
Oh my.
I agree.
Yeah, whatever you'd be there with your tomatoes.
Kelosal, what about you? What would be that DreamCon thing to have happen at CitizenCon?
I don't know. Maybe I really don't know. I was not prepared for this question here. I mean, maybe I would walk away with an Endeavor in my hangar. I mean, that would be a DreamCon for me. I'll be crying. I'll be like that that crybaby who saw Britney Spears for the first time or something like that.
It's the Endeavor.
Leave Britney alone. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
okay.
Just give me something that I've been waiting for. I'll put Fast Card in front of me if a brand new merchantman got there, because I know he's been wanting that more than me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Tomato, what about you? If you were to go to CitizenCon, what would be the dream thing to have happen or see or do or whatever?
All right. Here we go. The keynote opens. Chris comes out on the stage. No words. He just says, watch the screen. They turn around and the player wakes up. They get up. They go and they put a jacket on. They put all this stuff on. They do all this stuff that we don't recognize. They're like, oh, crap, this is awesome, right? Cool.
Mhm.
Sick. Walks out, calls the ship. It's an Endeavor. He goes and picks up the Endeavor, goes out to board it. Boom. Suddenly, turns out they're in the pyro system. Whoa. Mind blown. They get with some buddies, right? All NPCs. They get with all these NPCs. All these ships are flying around. They're in this fleet. There's like 50-something ships. They all jump to Nyx. Bam. They showed up at the what is the moon? Delamar. They get there and they interrupt the other part of their group who's currently building a base. They say, whoa, there's a new storm coming in. We got to take shelter. They all get in the base. Some dynamic weather system rolls through. And then at the end of this all, Chris comes back out on the stage. He's like, yeah, did you guys like that demo? That was pretty cool, huh? We got NPCs working. Everybody's like, oh my God, losing their minds. And he says, hold on. And they pull back the curtain and there's 100 QA people playing back there. And he's like, boom, we got server mesher working.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he drops the mic and walks
You were
off.
going to say, and then he was actually playing it on his Switch the whole time.
With T.O. being destroyed in the background.
But that would be a dream.
God.
I honestly, I don't know realistically what they could do that would super impress me. It'd probably just be server meshing, but that would be a dream convention. That'd be dope. I'd be like, this is going to be the best game ever.
For me, you know what? I've been to different types of conventions before, and I will say, especially going to something like a Star Wars convention, which is like the most amazing thing to see. One of the things that is nice about CitizenCon, for those of you who haven't gone, is that at the end of the con, you do get to meet those people that we sit and watch on screen throughout the year. And they're very friendly, they're very accommodating, and even Chris, I mean, you can walk up to any of them and have a conversation for a few minutes. At the Bar Citizen the day before, you really get to interact on a much more personal level. But even afterward, they make time to meet every person that comes through that convention, which is pretty amazing. I'm hoping that the con grows to the place where, when we come to the con and Squadron 42 is out, that we'll go and they'll say each day, on this day, Mark Hamill will be there and John Rice Davies, and they'll come there that day. You know what I mean? Like a Star Trek or Star Wars convention. And, you get to talk with them and everything else. And, I really want to be that thing where you're getting signatures, and people get the signatures now of devs. They come back with a program book with all the signatures and everything. But I want to see it come full circle at that point where it literally is like a really big convention, that it's not just a one-day event, but that, to travel all the way to Europe, that it becomes a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing, so now it's worth making that trip over, spending the time.
Give me a weekend
there.
of CitizenCon.
Yeah, to see it grow to that level, and at that point where, like you said, we could have right now they do set up something where people can play the game, but it's not like you said, Abdi, where it's literally, we can sit down 100 people playing the game and doing some really cool stuff. So I just want to see it grow to that space, right? So that it literally, like right now, it's something on my calendar every year. My family knows that October, I'm gone. I'm in LA, I'm in Austin, whatever. But I would love for it to be, that's the thing that I treat myself to every year, is to go. And there are some people that do that. That's they save their money, their vacation time, so they can go to CitizenCon. So I would love to see that in the long run. Okay, let's jump to the very last couple things for you guys, and then we're gonna let you guys get out of here because we are running over tonight. Rumors. Have you heard any? And I'm just gonna say, have you heard any? You ain't got to say where it came from, but have you heard any? Or would you like to create?
We've all seen it.
You want to create any rumors?
We've all seen it because we got that screen peek at Jared's computer background, didn't we? It was his was it his Jira list or something like that?
What was it?
I think it was a
No. It was like his internal IM. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's in Star Citizen. It's in Star Citizen leaks.
Oh.
If you want to see the screen grab, it happened during I think it was Friday's SCL or something. But it wasn't anything earth-shattering. I think it was like a confirmation.
Yeah, confirmation of pyro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about the fact that we think pyro is going to be seen no matter what, only because 2 years ago we went through the gate and popped out there. So to not show pyro would be almost ludicrous, you know. Now,
Right.
And again, we're not saying we're getting pyro, gang, but we are saying that we're going to see pyro. And we've seen enough evidence of their work. We know that Ruin Station was the only thing left that they were trying to really get together there. So to be able to see pyro right now, I wouldn't be surprised. To Colosal's point, I remember we were talking about, you know, we're big Star Wars fans. And so, you know, there's one planet there, I think it's Pyro 3 or 4, that's like the Mustafar, you know, it's like the lava planet. You know, I mean, I think they're going to see.
Chill with my buddy Darth Vader.
Stuff.
Just kidding.
All day long. That's my buddy.
He's not my buddy. Not my neighbor. Not my neighbor.
But to see things like that in, you know, in the game, I wouldn't be surprised. Anybody else got any rumors other than pyro? Anything that you guys think will happen? I do agree. Well, we'll get to predictions. Any rumors? Let's do it. Rumors first. rumors. No, if there's no rumors, we'll go to predictions. I just want to make sure anybody heard
speculation, really based on rumors.
Okay, like what?
So I was talking. Actually, it's on my podcast. It'll be up tomorrow.
Okay.
Ooh, sneak peek here.
Me and Sir Pickles, he's one of the modders. He's pulled some of the stuff for leaks, and then Execute from Inforunners. We talked a bit about the ships that we might see, and we were talking about, you know, the Origin is probably going to have straight to flyable, and Argo might have a ship that might not be ready yet. Might be more for the anniversary. We actually, we don't know. We have no idea. But a leak that happened earlier this year, the Argo Raft, possible ship. We're still looking into whether it's a refining ship or a cargo ship. Different theories here and there between the people in the group. Some think that it's kind of a mix of two as a starter ship to sort things, but I won't get into that. But yeah, that's something that we're maybe going to see is something from Argo. But besides that, I don't really think, I don't have any rumors. There's another Anvil ship that people are, you know, there were some rumors about, but nothing too material.
That's been a rumor for a while that they believe there'd be a capital ship, and maybe that Anvil might be one of the ones to produce it because they don't have one. So that's a definite one. Okay, let's just jump into predictions here then. Abdi, you got any predictions for this CitizenCon? Predictions?
I mean, they're going to announce something, and I have maybe this is dumb, but I would like to see them announce something and then say, go play the game right now. Okay. You know what I mean? Where like they announce something and it's just like it's in the game. Whether that's a 315, you know, open PCU, I feel like that's pushing it. But it would just be nice to see something where it's like, hey, you know what? Oftentimes we talk about a roadmap and something like that. Hey, we're talking about something that is for real, live right now, just released. Update your games and go play.
Okay,
that'd be cool.
Okay, Colossal.
I mean, could that be Theaters of War? I mean,
that would be dope.
I mean, that would be fantastic. And they was like, oh, here it goes. And they were like, Sean, where have you been? I mean,
they delayed Battlefield, so like, I need to get my fix.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. We're talking about predictions, right, Griff?
Yep, predictions.
Okay, so predictions would be that. I mean, gosh, this is going far fetched. I would love to see the Raylan sneak itself
into the presentation.
Your hangars.
Oh, the hangars. Oh, it's not scheduled till January, isn't it?
I know, but boy, would that be phenomenal. So,
do you think we'll see it? Do you think they'll show it to us at the con?
I will probably show some type of render.
Okay.
Maybe a drawing or something like that when they do space talk or something like that, or in relation to bringing out the new ships. Maybe a scare or something like that. But as far as predictions, I predict that they may give us show us Pyro. Probably it'd be fantastic if they give it to us. But I'm also predicting that it could show us another system.
Okay, which one? You got a favorite when you're looking for it?
Or
a couple
it'd be nice if they showed us the Nyx. I mean, that's where Delamar is, isn't it?
Yep.
So it'd be nice if they squeeze that in through. I mean, they already got Delamar. Give us the Nyx system or show us the Nyx system.
Okay.
And have at least two ways for us to go ahead and do the wormhole. I mean, jump into.
Okay.
You can't bring up Nyx and not say shout out to Jade.
Yep, that's her place. That's her place. Yep. Okay. Tomato predictions.
I'm gonna double down on a theory that I've been running with the rest of the year. I've been pushing this phase 4 thing the idea that they're sort of shifting their development process, and I'm calling it the fourth phase of development for Star Citizen. I honestly think that they're going to come out and try and maybe not rebrand, but definitely push the initiative that they're changing things. I think they could come out and be like, hey, this is a turning point for Star Citizen development. We're entering like a new, phase, like a new time where things are going to be a little bit different. That's like that's sort of like my hot take kind of thing.
I mean, this would be a third one if they did that.
Yeah, well, not necessarily in the way that they talked about staggered development and stuff like that. Not that they're changing anything, just the idea that what they're focusing on, I think, is starting to change a bit. Less of we're working on Quantum, we're working on Item 2.0, we're working on OCS and getting server meshing working, and more on like, hey, we're working on the medical system and salvage and how you're going to sell things to each other and like things that are actually going to affect your everyday gameplay. I'm hoping they announce that that's kind of starting to be more of their focus and shift people's ideas of what the development is. But that's just a kind of a out of left field prediction. I'm also hoping that they can show us something that has to do with persistent hangers and the quantum system. I guess that's also a prediction.
Nice. Those are good. Okay, my predictions. We're going to see something on the Vanu Merchantman. And I mean something, I think we're going to see a new concept design for it, or the final concept design on it. And we may even see a modeling of it with a tour through it or something along those lines. Not going to get it yet, but I think that they've worked on it enough time that we're going to see that. I think predictions, we're going to see fauna in some form. I think we're going to start seeing animal life come into the game. Hopefully that would be
please.
Because I want other threats than just the humans. I really want the fact that when you're carrying that cargo box, this crab comes out of the ground and eats you or something. So I want some stuff like that to happen.
And then you're in the downstate.
Yeah, you're right. And then, which leads me to my next one, which is medical. I would not be surprised if we don't see the Apollo pop up, because the Cutlass Red is going to be downgraded as far as what it does. We don't have any of, and all you've got is the Carrack and the 890 for that middle ground. But the medevac aspects of the game, if health is going to come in the way they've talked about, then that could easily be one of the ships that they drop on us. That the Apollo is going to come in, gives players a whole new aspect of how to deal with, health and all that other stuff if that shows up in the game. And I do believe that. And then I definitely believe we're going to see Pyro. Definitely believe that we will see Nyx. I think those are definites. I'm not where Kelosal said maybe Nyx. I think we're going to see both of them. We're obviously going to get into Pyro, but they've already shown us artwork for Nyx. Some of the stuff they've been working on for a while too. That's the other side of the coin too. And just, showing it to us is not a big deal. Access to it is a whole nother story. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do some more jump gating as a surprise, because we were left off in Pyro. That, like you said, Tomato, we could start in Pyro with that opening, but then they could easily, like you said, surprise us by jumping through another gate, and coming out in Nyx, which would be so cool, and maybe show us a revamp of Delamar would be really cool, because we know that they worked on that because of that stupid light switch they showed in Delamar on the wall.
Yeah, that's true.
So it would be kind of cool to see both of those. Okay. All right. Listen, we have a bunch of questions, and I'm going to try to get through these. I completely forgot we had these questions. That was why I kind of let the closing go. Here's the first question that we have from Explorer SC. Will CIG integrate Bitcoin and Alcoin earnings in the game as NFTs? Now, I'm not going to ask everybody to answer that. Just anybody got any thoughts on it, you just toss in. I maybe see it down the road, but not anytime soon. The economy dynamic of that would have to be something that's really built on and done well. And because it's still new to some games, I think personally it could happen, but not anytime soon. Not for Star Citizen, at least. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
I don't think
I have
that's
thoughts. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't think that's something you can just shoehorn into a game after it's already been made. I think you got to design a game from the ground up to factor in for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Because also they gotta get a pulse on the community to see how the community feels about it too. Yeah. Because I don't know, there's a lot of people that feel a lot of different ways about mining and all that kind of stuff. So
that would be a very extreme change for the project.
Yeah. Again, and how it impacts the economy, right? They've been working all these years on the economy that we currently have. And how do you bring that in? I don't put it past, because in the future, I think it will become a credible, and not that it's credible now, but there's not enough people who feel comfortable with it, and I don't know if it's there yet.
Yeah, it'll make its way in there.
Yeah, in time, I think it will. Thanks for that question. Dr. C3 Caruso. Sorry, I'm killing your name. I'm sorry. Hope not going to see any more sandstorms or sandworms again. Since he wants to see him for real. Lefty, do we get to see you guys every day up to CitizenCon and all day on the 9th? And the answer is no. You will see us Thursday. And we will talk about the fact that you guys will see us the day after, which we're having a Bar Citizen. But there's always a Bar Citizen the day before Star Citizen, and we're hosting another one, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But no, on that day, we're going to be hanging out with our own orgs and doing our own thing. But we do have a show the next day on that Sunday, so we will be doing the follow-up, so join us on that. Let's see, Coin Toss 789. Does this have to do with Lumberyard? Is this on Amazon's end? And I'm sorry we didn't see your question earlier, Coin Toss, when you dropped that in. I don't know if you're talking about performance. Maybe that was what you were responding to.
Yeah, I think that was on the Vulcan and Gen 12 stuff.
Okay.
That's when that came in.
Yeah, no, it's not on Amazon's end. Actually, we were joking around the other day because when people were waiting in line to get into New World and people were saying, how come they don't have enough servers? And we were like, yeah, because Star Citizen has the other half. Just kind of joking around. But yeah, I think that's a separate issue in relation to performance. Let's see the next question again from Lefty. What is your snack spread for the CitizenCon?
I got this one.
What do you got?
I got Stroop waffles. I got Stroop waffles.
You're already.
I got Bonnie fruit.
Oh my God, you're ready.
My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, Cameron and Rebecca, I love you both. They got me some astronaut snacks.
Ooh.
Like freeze-dried ice cream and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, you set up.
I got the spread ready.
Tomato,
nice.
What about you? Are you doing anything to have snacks sitting at the table since you don't have to move? Are you doing anything?
My wife is like a professional chef, and she loves to make things.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, she's not actually professional. She just cooks like one.
Okay.
She's working towards opening a catering business, but she likes to make stuff for events, and
nice.
I don't know what we're gonna have, but I know it'll be good, and I'll be posting pictures of it and stuff.
That's cool. That's awesome.
It's good stuff, yeah.
Colossal, what about you? Don't be talking about no fresh. What is it called? Hello Fresh. What are you doing for your food? Yeah, what are you doing for food that day?
I don't know. I mean, maybe bowls of applesauce.
Bowls, multiple bowls.
Sounds so sad.
I really haven't even thought about it.
Just bringing in a cart of
big old thing of mozz.
Full of bowls of applesauce.
You know what? I'm gonna get myself a bowl of applesauce just as a tribute to Colossal on Saturday.
Oh, man. I've not heard that suggestion.
The one that says cinnamon, please. Cinnamon.
Hell
right.
yeah.
Cinnamon. All right,
That's a good addition.
We'll send you the big jar of mozz. Somebody send him a big jar of mozz. Okay.
I see a whole bunch of things.
Black Intellect asks, can the panel talk about how AI population being added will affect the player experience of the verse and when we will see it in game? It's interesting, and I'll let some people on the panel can talk about this. I'll just throw my 2 cents in real quickly. Just recently, they gave us an explanation about why NPCs respond the way they do in the game with the server ticks. And it was a real cool explanation of talking about how when they load in, there's this delay time, a whole bunch of other stuff, which causes them to stand on top of stuff and everything else. But many of you have played the game where you get a fresh server and you see that the AI are doing things that they should be doing in game. So it does say that it's there, but there's a technical aspect or a back-end aspect that prevents the AI currently from doing what they want to do. So when we start talking about the game moving to the population that CIG has talked about, which I think is a 9-to-1 ratio in the game, I think that there's going to have to be a lot that changes to even put the AI so that they can start doing the things like, we talked about, what's it called when the when the NPCs go in and out? What do they call it? The
streaming in the spawn closets.
Spawn closets. Thank you.
Yeah.
Things like spawn closets, the routines, the time clocks that they work off of, the eating, sleeping, all those things. They're so contingent upon a lot of things on the back end being in place before that can happen. But obviously, once that can happen, it will change the dynamics of the game dramatically. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago with the medical field. You know what happens when you put that beacon out and you're laying on the ground in that down state and they were saying, well, will somebody take the time out to come see you? Chris and them told us that if they're going to put a certain amount of time frame for players to respond, but if they don't, an NPC will pick up that mission and come respond to you. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that has to happen before we see that happen in game. But hopefully, once they add that into the game, it will add a new dimension to the game that's not that we're contingent upon players. Even your conflicts, right? You're worrying about players blocking a gate. What happens when that system you're in of Pyro is being guarded by NPC group? And that NPC is so bad that ain't no org can't even take these jokers out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they can incorporate into the game that make AI have a strong impact. Anybody got any thoughts about AI coming into the game?
Well, I think AI, it's cool when you talk about AI in Star Citizen because you're talking about both the physical, they call it subsumption AI, subsumption-based AI, and then you have virtual AI.
Yep.
And that idea that they're bringing in all the virtual AI, like you were saying, that 9-to-1 ratio means that all these things that happen in the game that require a player to do it right now, not only in the future where they're going to have the connectivity and the way, like the actual back end to support these things being done, price differences and things being actually delivered places, but they're going to have the AI that can take over, like you said, the parts that humans aren't doing. So suddenly when you go to a space station and you wanted to do some cargo hauling, you didn't know what you were doing, but you showed up at the space station, you can literally look up the prices and see that, hey, a lot of people have recently started delivering a lot of stuff into this place, so the price is low. That wouldn't have worked because there was no simulation in the back end to do that. But with the AI there to actually fulfill those sort of complications, suddenly the game, I think, will start to feel a little more alive, a little more like we're actually encountering things that are occurring rather than just like somebody pressing a button.
Yeah. You know what would be cool, Tomato? When you go someplace to go do some trading, right? And while you're there, thank you, Spirito TV. Thank you. We appreciate that follow. Imagine being there and you want to order something, you're waiting on something, and then you see a cargo ship actually flying in, right? And then you go back to the terminal a few minutes later, and whatever it was you're looking for has now been restocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just something you just happen to be there at the right time when a delivery came in. You know what I mean? Because like you said, right now we don't have that.
One of the things that I always imagine when I think of like me playing Star Citizen, I don't know if that's like freaking 2 years. I don't know if it's just 2 decades. My kid is graduating college. I don't know. Whenever Star Citizen is finished, I imagine like coming into port at a space station and seeing like Hull C's and Starlifters and stuff just like coming and going, and knowing that things are actually changing. People are actually benefiting or playing the game based off of these ships literally coming into the space station. Those kinds of little details are what got me into this game.
It's good stuff.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Black Intellect asked this question, and well, let me go to Jod first. Jod said, do people want weather conditions to affect landing, such as rain, snow, tornadoes, hurricanes, or is that too real, or is it for fun? Anybody got any thoughts?
I think
no.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, I don't think I haven't heard anybody say they want weather conditions to affect landing.
I do.
You should be able, you do? Okay. You should be able to land.
I think it kind of makes sense.
With the exception of, you should be able to land in any condition if you have the ship to land
now,
in.
now you're hitting it. Now you're hitting it, right?
Okay,
I'm not saying you can't land. I'm just saying if there's a freaking tornado blowing, I mean, not it gotta be a tornado. You guys have come into certain. Remember at one point when you landed on freaking on New Babbage or Microtech, when the winds were so strong it would push your ship and flip it. Do you remember that back in the day? I'm saying you should be feeling some forms of resistance that you just can't, just float on in smoothly and land. I mean, I want that crosswind that hits you that makes me have to crab in to land. That's all I'm saying. Colossal's looking
they can turn this stuff up and they can turn it down as much as they want. So like maybe it just affects your ship to the point where it's like it feels a little immersive, not something where it's like like I'm like flying all over the place because it's like it's going crazy. Like I don't know, like I would like just a touch of that would be kind of cool, because then that tells you something. It tells you that when you go outside of your ship, you're gonna have to be ready. So you get on the right kind of clothes, you get on the right kind of stuff, so that when you're out there, you got your like Mario metal boots on, so you're not flying all over the place or something like that. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Or
using
no,
it as like a,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tomato. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's a good point that Abdi just said. Using it as like a messaging, like to tell you more about what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelosal, you even suggested this once, talking about how weather impacts whether or not you can attack a certain location. Because I remember you talking about that before. You don't remember that? You were talking about whether you would be able to come in with the ship versus ground vehicles. Remember we were talking about that impact? That was a while ago. At least I thought it was you. Maybe I'm giving you credit I shouldn't give you credit for.
Yeah.
I'll take it back.
I don't remember that conversation.
I'll take it back. But somebody was talking about the fact of weather may be a factor when you're ready to do something that says I can't go in with ships, so we have to come in via ground because of just the weather conditions at a certain location. You know, maybe, possibility. I don't know. Okay, but yes, I don't want them super crazy, but I do want impact of weather. That's all I'm saying. Because right now, cold affects us and thrusters affect us. So to me, when if there's a hurricane in the area, I want you to be able to say, hey, you guys can't land here right now. Don't try with a light fighter. Maybe you can come in with something heavier, but a freaking arrow's going to get blown around. You come in your Vanguard, you might be cool. You know what I'm saying? Like Kelosal said, depending on your ship.
Yeah.
Okay. What does, and this is from Black and Luck again, what panel topic they've chosen to include or not say about where okay. He's asking this. Looking at the topics that CIG picked, what does that say about where development is right now? Do those topics say to you that the development is on point? Do you feel like we're going to see some good progress? Do you think that it's going to be kind of a rehash, based on the topics that were picked this year? Tomato, I'll start with you on that one.
It feels like, I think some people are seeing some of the topics and thinking that means that they haven't made much progress because they're repeating topics. I think a lot of these panels are topics that need to be updated regularly. I don't think audio is something that will ever not be being implemented on, at least not released. Same goes for things like quantum, the economy, mission system, planet tech. These are all things that are just like, they're still in the works. So I think that probably we shouldn't look at that necessarily as a sign of where they're at, but the topics themselves do, I think, sound in line with what they've been saying. Okay. That server meshing seems like it's getting there. It's been getting a lot of work on the monthly reports. So the fact that they're enough to have a whole 30 minutes to an hour to maybe longer talking about it means that work is true. They're talking about, obviously we're going to see Pyro. That's on point. We definitely should be seeing Pyro. They're talking about Quantum. I would say Quantum right now is in the midst of being implemented, as they've said before. So we should be getting some pretty advanced words on that. And then there was the Gen 12 stuff. That's pretty huge. That's also been being implemented slowly throughout this last year. So it's good to see. These are all topics that we should be hearing about. I don't think there's anything here that is a big foundational part of the game moving forward that they're not touching on.
Okay. Kelosal?
On the devil's advocate side of what SpaceTomato was saying, I would basically, throw out an argument on, well, if they were going to be using this as an update, couldn't they use a different platform other than CitizenCon? Like a show that they have on Fridays that Jared has for an hour and some odd minutes. Could they use that show if they were going to give us a little bit of a tweak? Now, to continue on what SpaceTomato is saying, I'm definitely interested on these conversations because I think they're going to give us a lot more. On that one. I think SpaceTomato is right on that note. In terms of not just updating, but they're actually going to explain. They may take us to a new level. I think they would have to do that with this CitizenCon to assure us on where they're going in the nearest direction.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to see how they take this platform. Because when I saw this platform, I was thinking, I was one of those guys in the beginning. I was like, we've seen some of these platforms before. I mean, so it's going to be interesting to see how they steer this.
Okay.
I'm not looking forward towards the regular conversations that we saw in 15, 16, 17, and 18. I'm looking for some additional good information that could tell me, okay, this is where they were, this is where they are, and this is where they will be, not where they would like to be.
Okay. What are you going to say, Tomato?
I was going to say, I will say, I think that the reason that they should keep doing these updates at these big CitizenCon ones is because the majority of people don't actually see their weekly videos. These CitizenCon videos act as like a really good way for anybody for the next year to understand what's going on with the game. I think a lot of people miss the stuff they put in those other videos.
Yeah.
Derek did tell us a specific time on how people. You're right, Tomato. He did tell us on how long people watch the videos. He said they did
Analytics.
they analyzed right.
Mm-hmm.
They analyzed certain parts and found out that the majority of people watch the shows for a specific time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree with you there, definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Abdi, any thoughts on the same thing?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm talking about this as a person who's come back to the game again. I know I keep saying that, but it's an exciting time to get into this game right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they need to play to that idea. Like public events, I think brought in a lot of people, or at least showed people that there was a reason to get into the game, or that they're working on bringing in systems in an interconnected way. So I think that what I'm seeing from the panels that are there, what I'm hoping is that as a new person that's coming, or that new people that come into this, see that this isn't just, kind of like what everyone else has been saying, that this isn't just what they've posted in the past, but that this is dialed in, mm-hmm. And that this is a reason to stay excited about this game.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. And got a little bit of stuff we want to share with you guys that we've talked about a little bit. We mentioned earlier that this Friday coming up on October the 8th, we will be doing a Bar Citizen. Some of you have participated in Bar Citizens before. This is our virtual Bar Citizen, CitizenCon, celebrating CitizenCon 2951 with 2 Bar Citizens. The first one is called Hype. The second one is called Depth. And we are having 2 of them. The first is on Friday, October the 8th, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UTC. The second one will be the following Saturday. So remember that the first one's on Friday, but the next one is the following Saturday, October 16th. That'll be Depth, and that will be at 3 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time. And the difference in these two, Hype is just about that. It's about the hype, the excitement. It's all of the theory crafting and all the other good stuff that goes along that we do at a Bar Citizen the day before the event. The following week will be where we get to talk about all the things that we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we didn't understand, get some clarity. At both of these events, members of CIG have been invited to participate, to come out to this. So we're going to put, I think we just put the link in chat. This will be a Zoom event, so you have to RSVP for it. We've had great responses at our last shows. We've always had people like Disco Lando there. We've had Tyler there. We've had Acapella. What's his first? No, God, Jake. Jake has been there, who does the schedule. And they've shared such cool information with us when we are at these events. And so we want to invite you guys to register, sign up for it. You can come to one or both, whichever one is most convenient for you to participate at. But we would love to see you all at that event. So that's going to be this Friday coming up. CIG is also helping co-sponsor this. They've given us some ships to give away, which is very cool. So we've got some really cool ships. I think we've got a couple of MSRs and some other stuff that we're going to be giving away. And it's going to be co-hosted by Paul Shelley of the Astropub, the folks over at Yacht Club BC, the Soul Citizens, Test Squadron, and anybody else that we can get who wants to spend some time on these chats. But we're going to be sponsoring it and having these folks there. And another thing that was insider information that Xylo told us is that he sent out the invitation to all 800 of the staff members at CIG.
Ooh.
And the reason why this is a good possibility that many of them will be there is because, as a lot of you know, when there's a Bar Citizen, normally they're working up to the very last minute on that Friday night, getting things ready. And so usually there's only a certain amount of them that are able to come out and be at a Bar Citizen. But this time, most of the content has been pre-recorded. So they're actually freed up and available. So we're hoping that there'll be some newer faces that will be there to participate as well. So definitely, if you guys want to come, and I'll tell you, if you've never been, they interact with us. You can ask questions, talk. We have a lot of fun. You get to meet people from around the world that participate and stuff. So anyway, register. The link is back in chat. Drop it in there for me one more time, mods, just so folks will have it in case they missed it the first time around. Lastly, This Thursday is our normal community talk show, Soul Talk, which is on Thursday evenings, 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to come on with us and talk about the latest, there's no ISC this week because they're prepping to get ready, but we will be having some more conversations about CitizenCon and everything else in relation to Star Citizen. And then next Sunday, our CitizenCon 2951 review, where we will, within 24 hours, be talking about what we saw the day before. And we're hoping to have some folks on with Kai Zen and some people who were major content creators for Elite who are now playing Star Citizen. This will be their first time sitting in on a CitizenCon, and we're going to hopefully see what they think because they're really excited about it. And we're going to have some of our own team members on and hope maybe some guests too. We'll see who's going to be there, but we're going to have a lot of fun talking about CitizenCon next week. In the meantime, let me jump to our folks, SpaceTomato. Tell people where they can find you in the verse, and feel free to tell everything you want to tell.
Oh man, I've got a lot of stuff. To be honest, the easiest way to find me is to go to my website, spacetomato.com. I know I look like a blizzard right now, storm with salt and pepper. Sorry about that. Can't be helped. There we go. But mainly I do stuff on YouTube. SpaceTomato is my YouTube channel. I also have SpaceTomato 2, where I post more general stuff. My podcasts, some of my live streams are going to start going up there. I stream on Twitch. I have a Discord. I have an org. You can basically find me anywhere.
GII.
That has to do with Star Citizen. Yeah, GII. Abdi is a member of GII. We are a great group. Good group of people. They're very nice. Everybody there is super kind and a lot of fun to hang out with. I'll also be doing a watch party for CitizenCon if anybody wants to go. It's pretty easy to find. It'll be public soon on YouTube, but you can also find a link in my recent video for it, and I'll just be giving out some ships and stuff like that. But
nice.
Yeah, that's about it for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Always fun to have you on board. Colossal, where can people find you?
Here.
Right here.
Yeah, it's a busy season for me. Education is not over with here in the South until May. So I'm pretty much busy, but you can definitely see me from time to time when Griff tells me to get out my splendor and come on the show. Or you see me hanging out with Soul Citizens, or you see me hanging out with Test Squadron, Best Squadron.
Test Squadron, yes, sir. Absolutely. And Abdi, where can people find you?
Well, first of all, Colossal, thank you for being a teacher. It's super hard to do that right now with everything going on. So for real, thank you for your work. Second of all, oh
Lord,
there it is. Had to come at some point.
There we go.
Yeah.
Also, you can find me at AbdiYohan on Twitter and Twitch.
Awesome. Well, again, thank all of you all for the time and effort that you all hung out. It was a late night for us tonight. We did a 3-hour one tonight. Usually we were 2 hours and 30 minutes, but we had a lot of good stuff to talk about. We are looking forward to next week with CitizenCon and hope you guys will be able to sit back and relax next Saturday and just take it all in. And of course, come back and visit with us on Sunday where we will talk about all the cool things that we saw. So again, thank you guys for all that. We are going to raid Papadopoulos. We hit him a couple weeks ago. He's a new streamer, new to this whole thing. Papadopoulos 84. So if you like what you see when you go over there, send him some love. Tell him you came from the Star Citizens. And as always, you guys take care of yourselves. Be safe. And until next week, peace, love, and soul. We will see you guys later. Take care.
Catch you later.
Bye.